This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Many, Mickey, Fishy.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
This show is so good that I would rather listen to my own show that I recorded an hour ago in full, because then listen to that. These people don't know what they're talking about, and they're paid professionals.
And Rich Prage.
Then you listen to other wrestling podcasts now stink. Except for the ones on the Voice Wrestling Podcast Network. All those are good, but every other one stinks.
And we are live here on the Flagship Podcast. I'm Rich. He's Joe. Joe, what's happening?
You went to these Winter Olympics or no?
I did not go to Beijing for the Winter Olympics. No.
Well, I didn't ask you if you went to Beijing for the Winter Olympics. I asked you if you were into these Winter.
Oh, I
Olympics.
thought you said, did you go to the Winter Olympics? And I was like, no, it didn't. Not this year. I'm usually a big. No, I haven't. We've many times on the show talked about our Winter Olympics viewing of the past. I haven't. It kind of snuck up on me, and I don't know if I have the. I've been bitten by the Olympic bug. Have you been bitten by the Olympic bug yet, or no?
Well, the Winter Olympics stink. That's number one. It's just not very good.
I think I sometimes like them, but I really don't. I think it's a thing that I think when they come around, I'm like, oh yeah, the Winter Olympics, that's cool. And then I think I watch like two things, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really like the Winter Olympics. I think they're cool, but they're not. I guess
they're not. No, Winter Olympics really stink.
There's a lot of like guys in small ship-like things going down tubes, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Like,
well, you got your luge,
the luge, yeah,
and you've got your bobsled, and you've got your 2-man bobsled. And
isn't there something called the skeleton too?
You got your 4-man bobsled, and then you got your skeleton.
Yeah,
you got a lot of people sliding on
a lot of Latvians sliding down tubes, and I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, a lot of Scandinavians on
right.
on sleds, right? Like. I don't know. It's I've been watching curling for 20 years, and I still have no fucking clue what's happening when it's going on. I don't understand the game. I mean, I assume it's like, you familiar with bocce?
I'm familiar with bocce. Yes, of course.
The Italian fucking lawn bowling game, bocce. So I figure I think it's like that, where you got to get closest to the fucking center goal. Like in bocce, you got to throw your balls towards the palina, the little white ball, right? That's the target. In curling, it's like a literal target with like the rings and then the middle. I think they're aiming the fucking rock for the middle, but I'm still not entirely sure, and I have no idea how the scoring works.
It's less, so it's a little, I guess it's got bocce vibes to it, and I'm coming from a standpoint of I also don't really know how curling works, so I could be wrong about all this, but I used to work with a curling guy. Like, this guy loved curling. Winter Olympics time, he would just like have it on one of the TVs and be like, oh yeah. I'm like, all right, come on, like, reel it in, pal. Like, you don't care about Sweden versus.
It's really not that exciting,
right? Like take it down a notch there, pal. But nice guy. But I was like, around this time, it was like, all right, dude, we get it. Curling, cool. It's a little bit, I guess it's kind of like bocce, a little bit like it's shuffleboard on ice, basically. It's probably the best way to put it.
You understand the scoring of curling?
I have no idea about the scoring. No.
Well, this is what I'm at. Like, I don't understand what I'm watching, and then anytime I've watched curling over the years,
okay, Bags, you're a man, Bags. Cornhole, as some people call it. You understand the scoring of that, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same premise as that. You know what I mean? Like, you have your stuff, you have your, say if you don't get it in the hole right away, they're on the board or whatever, and somebody comes and they slide yours off the board or whatever, and that's kind of the part of curling as well. There is a strategy of, yes, you can put your thing right in the middle, but you don't want to put your first thing, disc, whatever the hell it is, in the middle right away, because the next guy's going to come and just bounce that right out there. You know what I mean?
I understand they're trying to get in the middle.
Oh, you don't know how it's scored. I don't know.
I don't understand how it's scored.
Yeah, this is like cricket for me. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand the scoring. I get all the principles, and then like, at a certain point, I just break down. I'm like, I don't understand how you can score. Yeah, I don't know.
And they have like innings.
Yeah.
Like and they score. I don't understand scoring. But anyway, last night I'm watching the curling at like 3:30 in the morning. And they haven't even had the opening ceremonies yet. Like, the curling has begun before the Olympics have begun. Because the Olympics don't start until Friday, the opening ceremonies. But they started the curling early to get all the games in, or the matches, whatever. What do you call a game of curling?
A game of curling, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. This guy would go to do something and he would call it something every weekend. I don't remember what it was, but essentially, I was just like, did you just go to like drink and then like play this like essentially shuffleboard? And he didn't love that because it's all it is. And I think it's really just an excuse to drink and play shuffleboard.
Well, there's a guy in the chat room saying it's the closest stone scores, but that can't be true because I've seen them score more than 1 point per inning, or frame or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Like I like last night I'm watching and they were scoring like 2-3 points per thing, but it wasn't always. It didn't seem like it was always like, all right, they're 3 stones. It doesn't make sense. And then every time I watch, I try to figure out how it works, and I can't. And then after I go through that process, then I say to myself, this sucks anyway. Why am I even watching?
Right, exactly.
Even if I understood the scoring, it sucks.
Right. You get it. Boring. You get it. And you're like, all right, here we go. And then it's just like this one, it's a guy staring for 5 minutes. And then he goes, okay. And then he slides gently. And then the guys go, and then like a stone hits another stone. And you're like, all right, why am I watching this? Like,
and listen, I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm willing to be wrong on this. I don't buy for a second that sweeping that ice makes it move faster. I don't buy it for a second.
I can't say I've done it. I was invited I should have taken this guy up on this. Maybe I still can. Maybe this is the great time to bring it up to him. Yeah, he always invited me out to a curling weekend thing because he's like, oh, it's friends and family weekend at like my curling club, and I was like, nah, I'm good.
Okay, please go once just to
just to get it. But here's the thing though, here it's like my cricket thing. I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna understand it, I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna forget it all.
It might just be like bocce. It might be as simple as that. But all I'm saying is it doesn't seem that simple because I'm watching and I'm looking and the scoring doesn't match what I think it should be in my head. I don't know. Point is, curling sucks. I like the hockey.
Hockey's great.
I can get into the hockey because it's hockey.
Isn't like everybody not doing the hockey this year, or did I miss the?
No. There's just no NHL players.
Well, that's everybody. But I don't want to watch.
That hurts the quality of the hockey. But I can still get into the hockey because it's hockey.
It's still hockey. At the end of the day, they're still like high level professional athletes. They're not in the highest level of the sport.
Right.
But yeah, okay.
Right. So I would prefer the pros there. But here's the thing. I know like 5 hockey players anyway. So
that's true. Yeah, I don't know why I'm acting like I care. Like, it's not like Brendan Shanahan's going to show up or Sergei Fedorov. So it's
exactly.
Like it doesn't matter. I don't know any of the guys anyway. Right. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why I took the hard stance of, well, I'm not watching if the NHL players aren't in there. It's like, wait a minute, I don't know any NHL players.
You don't know any NHL players. So
it could be a random assortment of guys, and I would say, sure, those are NHL players. That's fine. So
right. They could tell me they're NHL players. I wouldn't know the difference, So I watch the hockey. I do like...
Jaromir Jagr's still got to be playing in this thing, though, right? I'm going to look that up.
I don't know the answer to that. He's probably still playing professional hockey somewhere. He was in the NHL like last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Yeah.
And like 49 or something. Some Gordie Howe shit. But I'm trying to think. Like, listen, I'll watch like the ladies figure skating final. I'll keep one eye on that. That's usually that's the big event of the Winter Olympics. Like,
I regret to inform you, Jaromir Jagr did not make the Czech Olympic hockey team. I feel like he should make it until he doesn't want to make it anymore, right?
I mean,
you can't. You're going to cut Jaromir Jagr?
Does he still have the fucking mullet, the curly mullet?
I think so.
He probably cut that 15 years ago, right?
I'm looking at pictures. No, I mean it's not the one that you think of from 1991, but it's pretty close. Yeah. He looks pretty good for his age, all things considered.
I'm gonna tell you the best Winter Olympic event, and it's not curling, and it's not the alpine skiing or any of this other.
Is that the
bullshit.
one where they ski and then shoot? Because that one's dumb.
That's the biathlon.
That one's the dumbest.
Then they stop and like shoot at an elk.
The fuck are we doing? It's like, get out of here.
No, the best Olympic event is speed skating.
Yes,
that's the best Winter Olympic event.
Yes, I so not that long ago, a couple years ago, I went to there's like this the USA Speed Skating Academy is in Milwaukee. It might not be in Milwaukee. It might be a town right next to Milwaukee or whatever. And you could just go and walk in and do tours or just kind of walk around. They don't care because it's like, unless you're skating, it's like, who cares? We have this giant facility. I would, if you've never seen speed skating live, if you watch it, even if you watch it on the TV, it doesn't quite, you don't get the idea of just how insanely fast these people are going and how crazy that sport is. It is nuts.
Yeah. It's exciting too.
Yeah.
It's an exciting sport. What was that one guy's name that one year who just fell in every race and he was the favorite in all of them? He was an American, tall white guy. And then there was the other American, but he was like an Asian American. His name was Ono or something. Was a speed? You remember that guy?
I think so. Yeah.
We're doing name some speed skaters now.
Yeah, let's remember some speed skaters. Apollo Ono, I believe was his name.
Apollo
right?
Ono.
Yeah.
That was his name. Yeah. But there was a guy an Olympics before him was this white guy, and he was the favorite in like every race, and he fell in every fucking race. I don't think he won a single medal.
Because I don't know. I don't know if I remember his name.
Dan Jensen. Someone got it in the chat room. Yeah.
Okay.
Dan Jensen. That's the guy. So, I like the speed skating.
I'm pretty sure that's who the place is named after. I think that's like, I think that whole facility is there because of him, if I remember correctly.
Who, Dan Jensen?
Yeah, the one I went to. I think that like he runs it, or he's like the main coach or something like that. So
the sledding events, they're all right for a couple minutes, but I don't know. You kind of just want to watch them fall off, right? I mean, that's kind of why you're watching. You like when a guy's doing the skeleton, you kind of want to watch him fall off the thing.
Sort of, but then they really do not do well when they fall off. So that I don't know if I really want. I mean, it's like
I don't want anyone to die.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's pretty horrific when those people crash. So I don't know if I love that.
Just breaks a couple ribs or something.
Yeah. See, the skeleton's the one where you're face down, right?
The luge is the one where you lay straight like you're planking. Yeah, right.
No, I think that's the skeleton, and the luge is the one you're laying down. Yeah, the skeleton is wild, man, because that's like you crash, you're just head first into a fucking wall at like 100 miles per hour. It's pretty.
Hold on. Which is the one where you're laying down flat and they're pointing their toes inward for the aerodynamic?
I believe that's the luge. I believe that's the luge.
Yes. So what do they do with the skeleton?
That's like it's basically like a sled, but I think you run on it, and then like you like you said, you do like the plank position on like the small little board.
So you dive head first like a kid going down a
exactly, yes, but you're going like 100 miles per hour as opposed to 10 or whatever a child is doing.
These sports are so dumb. I mean,
it's like they just like tried to find. They had like 5, and then they're like, we just figure something else out.
Got to create some more.
Like, thank God snowboarding came, because I mean, imagine this thing without snowboarding. Like, God bless snowboarding. Like, they really needed to add something.
I don't like the snowboarding. I got to be honest.
Okay.
I don't like the snowboarding. Just like in the summer games, I don't like the skateboarding and the BMX shit. Those aren't real sports to me. That's shit you do when you're 12. I can't get into that. If it wasn't at the '84 Olympics with Mary Lou Retton, I'm not interested.
That's when you ended your Olympic Games in 1984. Yeah.
That's when I ended anything that comes after that is not a real sport. It's you're just turning like this X Games shit. Those aren't sports to me. Yeah, I didn't even like watching the Summer Olympics. Did you watch any of that BMX shit?
It was bad. Yeah, I don't know what they were doing.
They were bad. They weren't even good.
I don't know what that was. Yeah, everybody that watched it was all kind of like, wait a minute, the X Games are like way cooler than this. Like, what the hell is this? The same thing happened. Don't the nurses in ear distance here, but the climbing.
Yeah. Oh God.
Did not go over well with the climbing community. They were not happy with the representation they got during the Summer Games. So.
Well, the worst without question was that BMX stuff. I was expecting guys to do flips and
they were just kind of casually going around like a park and just like.
I legitimately saw better tricks when I was like 12 years old, and my neighbor down the street got a new Huffy. Like, I saw better tricks then in 1989 than I saw in the Olympics this year with these guys on the bikes, and they kept falling off. It was brutal. It wasn't even impressive at all. And I'm like, someone's going to get an Olympic medal for this? The skateboarding, too, was terrible.
Yeah, I did watch that. And
shits.
It was really bad. Yeah, it was not the best that we had to offer in the skateboarding. So I don't know.
Maybe you know what? Maybe I'm burying the bike guys erroneously. It was the skateboarding.
And the skateboarders was horrendous. Yeah, that was pretty horrendous.
I don't even remember watching anybody on BMX bikes. It was the skateboarders that were terrible. I apologize to the BMX community. It was the skateboarders who were brutal. They kept trying. They were they kept falling off the fucking fucking what's the gimmick next to a staircase? The
Half
fucking
pipe or the stairs? Oh, the rail.
No.
The rail. You're talking about they were
kept
grinding. They
falling
were
off the
grinding on the rail.
and-
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was so unimpressive. Very unimpressive.
Yeah, it had weird
so.
scoring too. That was the same with the climbing. Like nobody understood the scoring, and they're like, "Who came up with the scoring?" It was quite the controversy, the climbing, and I think the skateboard was the same way too. So I found the entire list of Olympic Winter Games. So I think really quickly we can say yay or nay on all these. How about that?
All right, throw them at me.
All right, alpine skiing. I'm nay. I don't like skiing. I've skied once. I hated it. I'm not going ever again.
Okay, is the alpine skiing the one where they're going around the flags? And they have to touch the fucking flags as they go by? Like, you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's not the one where they're just going for maximum speed straight down the fucking hill, or is that even a thing?
I think
1 to 10, that's a 5. I can watch that for like 10 minutes.
I don't have any need for it. I don't have. Honestly, all the skiing can hit the bricks. Biathlon
Again, with the skiers, I want to see them fall.
Oh, for sure.
Honestly,
yeah. No, skiers definitely deserve
tumble
to fall.
down the
Yeah,
fucking.
'cause they're all-
I want to see them tumble down the snow, and there's fucking snow flying all over the place. I mean, that's what
Yeah,
It's like
hit the flag, and they just go billowing down the rest of the hill.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm like Anthony Bowen's dad watching hockey for the fights when I'm watching downhill skiing.
great.
I
What a
just want to
find.
see
What if I that
how
one?
tremendous was that video.
It's great with his big old mustache. Just like if you closed your eyes and thought, what does a man from 1982 New Jersey who would get mad about the lack of hockey fights look like? It was that guy.
It was that guy.
It was that, he looks like a yoked up John Stossel. It's just perfect. It's exactly what you want.
How great was the phone call where he's on the phone? He's like, "Hey, yeah, Anthony."
Yeah, it's totally not. Yeah, if you thought that they're like, oh man, I hate New Jersey and Italian stereotypes. Let me watch this video of this man calling it. It's not going to help dispel a single one of the stereotypes of what a man from New Jersey would sound
Anthony,
like. So
you got that Tiger Williams fight. I've been waiting since November. When are you going to send me that fight? I thought
Trader. I couldn't believe tape trading hockey fights.
Hockey fight tape trader. I thought he was going to. I hope that guy sent that Tiger Williams fight, because if he didn't,
fucking better, yeah.
Anthony Bowen's dad 100% put a hit on that guy. There's no doubt about it. That guy might not even be alive today if he didn't send that fight. But that was just tremendous. People can find, if people haven't seen that video, go to Anthony Bowen's Twitter account. It's fucking phenomenal. But anyway, go.
So let's go alpine skiing. We'll go 5, I guess. I'm fine with 5 too, because I don't know the difference between alpine, cross country, freestyle, and Nordic combined. So I'm just gonna. I will say there was one. Okay, alpine skiing. I think they just go downhill. I think that's with the flags. There's a worse one coming up. Don't worry. Biathlon 0 out of 10. What the hell are we doing here?
Oh yeah, that sucks.
Skiing, stopping, shooting. Get the hell out of here. We're done.
Yeah.
Bobsled. I'm gonna go 6 out of 10 because at least cool runnings. It's a team sport. It looks kind of interesting at times. I like the bobsled.
It's okay for a couple minutes. Yeah, I'll leave it on for a little while.
Cross country skiing, negative 10,000. Get the fuck out of here. I see grandmothers at my forest preserve doing this. Like literal like, geriatric women doing this same sport. No. Out.
So we had a guy where in where I grew up, whenever it would snow, he would bust out his
cross-country skiing guy.
Skis.
Yeah.
So we had a neighborhood cross-country ski guy, and we were like in high school.
Oh boy.
So of course you know where this is going.
Yeah,
so we would like hide behind bushes and throw snowballs at him and ice balls and shit, and he would like give us the finger, but he couldn't catch us because he was on skis. So we would mock him and throw snowballs at him.
Poor guys,
like
trying to get some
delinquents.
exercise in the winter.
We were hanging out with Anthony Bowen's old man,
Right.
so we were throwing because he definitely threw snowballs at cross country skier.
Yeah, for sure, and said problematic
in the
things, for
neighborhood.
sure. Yeah.
So we used to make fun of him and laugh at him and throw snowballs at him. He was probably like in his mid to late 30s, this guy. And then a couple years later, he got arrested for child porn. So that's
I was going to say, okay, well, I take back feeling bad. All right, I felt bad for this guy. Don't feel bad for him anymore. Fuck that guy. You should have thrown more ice balls at his head. So.
That took a turn you were not expecting.
Yeah, I was like, man, this guy's just trying to get some exercise in the winter. I can respect it. I've done cross-country skiing. It's fine. It's kind of fun. But that took a whole different turn. Not an Olympic
big news
sport,
in the neighborhood. Yep.
Yeah, it's always. Oh yeah, that happened a few times in my neighborhood too. Like local child porn guy. Like,
whenever there's a sex pest in the neighborhood, like all the mothers talk about, it's always huge news.
Yeah,
always
big
huge
stuff.
news.
Yeah, you walk by the house and they go, "That's where he lives." You know what I mean?
That's where the guy lives. Yeah. Stay away. That's where you don't go on Halloween. Like it's a whole thing.
Yeah. Curling, we already kind of put. I think like 2 out of 10 or something like that, right?
Yeah, curling sucks. I got no use for the curling.
Figure skating is fine if there's like drama, if there's Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan drama, but I actually don't care at all about the actual sport itself.
I think the women's figure skating that's the big ticket Winter Olympic event. I think you kind of have to watch the final night of that. That gets the biggest ratings. The rest of it, though, the doubles, the men's, that could all fucking go right in the dumpster. But the women's final on the final night, it usually has a decent amount of hype. You usually know the names by the end of the 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Usually there's like a Katarina Witt in the mix or, somebody like that. So Oksana Bayul, so.
That's what I was going to bring up. I just listened to a podcast about her.
Yeah.
Not that long ago,
So yeah, that's what I would say about the figure skating.
All right, freestyle skiing. I think that's the one where they do like tricks. They go on the hill and then they flip and stuff.
Again,
so
this falls into the X Games category. That's not a real sport to me. That's do that in the X Games. I'm not interested in that as an Olympic event.
Right. Hockey. I gotta go 9 out of 10 for hockey. It's hockey. You know
Hockey's a top tier Olympic
love
sport.
Hockey. Yeah, I love the hockey. I don't watch that much hockey these days just because I don't have time. But I love the hockey. Put that on for sure.
I'll watch that. I'm actually more interested in the Olympic hockey than the NHL hockey. So yeah, I'll watch that.
Let's see if any of that's on right now. Get this TV going here. Luge and/or skeleton because we're not quite sure. I think we got it though.
Yeah.
Luge is lay down. Skeleton is face down. Like you said, I'm probably a 5 out of 10 because I'll watch for 10 minutes just to see if somebody gets horrifically hurt. But yeah, otherwise not really.
They both seem like something you do at Action Park. Did you watch that documentary?
Of course
I
did. Yeah, that was great. That was great. Yeah, that's a good documentary.
Yeah. Again, Anthony Bowen's dad was 1,000,000% at Action Park. Like falling off those
one of his friends died at Action Park, and they still went back. And they still went back the next year.
Went back the next weekend. Are you kidding me? They went on the attraction that their friend died on. They no fear. Actually, every kid from New Jersey did that. I can't just that's just what you did.
Okay, Nordic combined, I think you do jumping and then cross-country skiing. 0 out of 10. Get rid of all of it.
0 out of 10. Yeah. Junk. Yeah.
Short track speed skating, like that. I said that.
Yes.
I'm putting at 8 out of 10, I think.
Yeah.
And then ski jumping, the big jump. It's cool because it's a big jump, but I don't know.
Ski jumping is all right. Do you remember Eddie the Eagle?
I don't know if I remember Eddie the Eagle.
He was he represented England in the ski jumping, and he was legally blind, and he was terrible. And
Seems like a bad sport to be in.
Yeah, he was there as a gimmick, and he would
So Eagle was it was a bit of a joke nickname, I'm guessing. His eyesight was not very eagle-like.
He was 100% gimmick. He finished in last place. I'm going to put that maybe 88. Or 92? I'm thinking 88. Where was 88? Lillehammer or something?
1988 was in
Lake Placid.
No, we have talked so much about the Winter Olympics on this I think 88 was Calgary, if I remember correctly.
Calgary,
right?
I think
because there's that weird year that we talked about a couple years ago where Lillehammer was in 92, but then they came back and ran it back in 94.
Right, because they switched to every 2 years alternating.
Right. Lillehammer was 94.
All right.
But they had a one in Albertville, France. That was in 92. So they had a 92 and a 94.
All right. I think Eddie the Eagle was 88. Let me look this real quick here.
We need to know. Yeah, that absolutely something we need to start the show with. So,
hold on.
I really don't want to talk about the Royal Rumble, so I'm enjoying this a little bit.
He was he's still alive. He's 58 years old. He still looks blind as a bat.
I assume he didn't get more eyesight over the years.
Oh, so check it out. He held the British ski jumping record from 88 to 2001.
Did anybody else try, or was he the only one that was?
Well, UK just must be awful at ski jumping. Yeah, it was the 88 Olympics in Calgary. He finished last in both the 70-meter and 90-meter events. So obviously it's just not a strong country for ski jumping. I thought they sent him there as a gimmick, but he really was the best guy in the country, at least. His lack of success endeared him to people around the globe. He subsequently became a media celebrity and appeared on talk shows around the world. So,
hey, if you can't be first, you might as well be last, right? Nobody talks to the guy who finished 7th.
All right, here we go. Following the widespread attention that Edwards received in Calgary shortly after the Olympics finished, the entry requirements were made stricter, making it nearly impossible for anyone to follow his example.
Okay. Yeah.
So he was a gimmick. Like, being the best ski jumper in England must be like being the I don't know, best fucking American style football player in Japan or something. Like, you just
the best basketball player in Ireland is probably not,
Right. Like, so they
I had a friend who got Irish citizenship so he could play for the Irish national team. They did not make the Olympics, Joe.
All right, well,
he was their leading scorer. That's all you need to know. It's a guy from my town was the leading scorer for the Irish team. Okay, and then we'll end here. Snowboarding, you said you hated. I'm like 4 out of 10 on that, and then speed skating is cool too. So, all right,
that's it. That's everything.
That's everything. Yeah, I was kind of surprised that there's not more. There's very little. And I just looked on the cock, Joe, the peacock.
Yeah,
I know I got is like curling on right now. There's no hockey on right now, so I'm a little pissed. But
the thing about the Winter Olympics is snow sucks. So no one wants to be out in the snow. So there's not a lot of things you can do in the snow. Ice is the pits. So if it doesn't involve snow or ice, you can't. What else are you gonna do, right? Like, because they put all like the traditional winter team sports in the Summer Olympics, like basketball and shit like that, right? So you're stuck with all this snow and ice bullshit, and there just aren't a lot of good sports that take place in the snow or on ice. So, like I said at the top, the Winter Olympics, the Winter Olympics suck.
They absolutely do. So
yeah,
we did have there's a guy in the chat room that the NoDopes chat room that just said, great factoid. This year the U.S. has the oldest women's Olympic figure skater in a century. She's 25 years old.
Oh yeah, she's ancient. Forget it. We must have a terrible team this year.
Oh man. All right. So that is that. Let's talk about World Wrestling Entertainment, Joe. They had their quarterly earnings call today, and you'll be surprised to know they made a shit ton of money, more than they ever have ever. How about that? 2021 year-end highlights. The revenue increased 12% year over year to $1.095 billion, the highest in company history. They finally eclipsed $1 billion in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all expecting that, right? None of this is a surprise.
No.
I mean, you look at if you follow this stuff, you knew the money that they had coming in. So, yeah, I mean, this is what we've been talking about, and people like Dave Meltzer and Brandon Thurston have been talking about for a long time. I mean, they're truly idiot-proof, and they're going to keep breaking these records. I mean, no matter how poorly they run the company, how poorly they run the wrestling end of the company, I don't really think you can rip them from the perspective of how they run the business end of the company, obviously. But no matter how poorly they run the wrestling end of the company, it does not matter.
No, live events really don't matter. I mean, we can talk a little bit about that. I mean, they did okay in live events this year, increased ticket prices, but we know the attendances struggled a little bit, but it did matter. They made a decent amount of money there, but it's a drop in the bucket now. When you're talking about the live event revenue, pretty much every revenue just doesn't matter once you have the TV deal. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter that their live event revenue is maybe not as good as it could be, or we see the some arenas don't fill out all the way. It doesn't matter. We know that their TV ratings are down, across the board and doing very poor. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It does not matter. None of it matters. They get a shit ton of money from Saudi Arabia, and they get a shit ton of money from Fox and USA, and the rest of it is just gravy after that. The rest of it is just piling on money upon money. And yeah, they can spend a little bit here and there. They can build their new headquarters, that I think they're still in the process of doing. They can do these little minor budget cuts, but at the end of the day, once those Fox and once those USA checks and once that Saudi Arabia check comes in, you're good to go. And then you add WrestleMania into there too, doing WrestleMania in front of a crowd. That's it. I mean, at that point, you can do literally anything else this year, and we've seen them in 2021. I mean, critically, 2021 may have been one of their worst years in, God, I mean, when you really think of it, bell to bell, show-wise, in-ring, I mean, it had to be one of the worst in decades, right?
I mean, since Vince McMahon took over, since like what do you want to say, since 84 or something?
I'm
I think.
Thinking maybe, you could pick out a few years here and there, but even then I would say like 1995 was like a bad year, but there's some decent stuff in 95. Like
I would rather watch 95 than
oh, for sure.
2021.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, me personally, definitely. And yeah, it's just you go through the years and you're like, I mean, maybe like when you really look at how it did in our match of the year poll, look how it did in other polls. Like it's just critically, it was a disaster in 2021, and they had their highest revenue ever this year. So it doesn't matter. None of it matters anymore. They're post wrestling. You know what I mean? They don't matter in the pro wrestling. When Nick Khan says we're not competing with AEW, we're not competing with all that sort of stuff and yada, yada, yada. I mean, they're really not. They're playing a completely different ballgame at this point. They're just they're not in the same business. They're not in the wrestling business anymore.
No, yeah. This is what we talk about every quarter.
Yeah, they're in the content creation business, and this if I mean, we don't really even need to bring it up anymore. All you need to look at is 2021, their highest revenue in company history, $1 billion. The end. You
and I have been saying nothing matters for like almost 5 years now. I mean, there was a report that just came out on Fightful this afternoon about how low morale is among the wrestlers and how disgruntled a lot of the wrestlers are. And there's a direct quote from a wrestler saying nothing matters. Like now even the wrestlers realize and understand, like their complaints go nowhere. If they complain about continuity or storylines, no one listens because none of it matters. It just nothing matters. Just the television deals and the Saudi deal. It's all that matters. And the rights deals to the content. So I think it'd be more interesting to discuss what can possibly derail this at this point. So you'd have to look at, well, the Saudi deal was a 10-year deal, and what are they in year 3 or 4, or something like that?
Yeah, 4. Yeah, 4. Yeah, I think it's 4. I think it is.
I don't even think they're halfway through.
No. Yeah, they still have another at least 5 or 6 years of it.
So that monster isn't going anywhere. That the Saudi deal might outlive Vince McMahon. I mean, that's a race to the finish. A
very real possibility, yeah.
But so that's not going anywhere. So then you say, okay, well, what about the next TV deal? Well, even with the sagging ratings and hitting all-time lows for Raw at various points over the last year, they're probably going to get a bigger TV deal this time around, not a smaller one. I mean, they're probably going to get so these profits are only going to grow. And
yeah, the only scenario where that doesn't happen is similar to what happened many, many, many moons ago when WWE was on Spike TV, when they moved from USA to Spike TV and they were on Spike. And when they were ready to, re-up their TV deal, Spike basically said, "Nah, we're good. And you can go do whatever the hell you want. We don't want to, bring with you guys anymore. We're not interested in even negotiating with you." And what happened is WWE then had to go back to USA without really any other partner that wanted them. And USA kind of said, "Okay, all right, you had nowhere else to go. Here we are. You ditched us before. Now you've come crawling back." And they got screwed in that TV deal. That was it. That's the exception. From that point forward, they have never been screwed in a TV deal to the point that they were. They've always increased the revenue. They've always done pretty well on most of these deals. So barring Fox and USA both at the same time saying, "Nah, we're not interested anymore," and all these other networks saying, "No, we're not interested anymore," that's literally it. That is the only possible scenario is those companies say, "Hey, we're not interested anymore." But at the end of the day, they are still presenting quote unquote live sports. And trust me, when that comes up for renewal, they can say, they'll say they're sports entertainment. They'll say they're not wrestling, that they're not sports, that they're making movies, pal, and all that sort of stuff. But when those TV deals come up, they're a sports property, Joe. Because they're smart, because they get their business and they understand sports are worth a shit ton of money. So when that time comes, when there's not regulations, when there's not athletic commissions, when there's TV deals at stake, then they're a sports property. Then they're on ESPN. Then they're doing stuff. They're doing hits on SportsCenter. They're Jonathan Coachman's doing stuff like that's when they do that sort of stuff because they want to ramp it up and try to make themselves into live sports and live event coverage, and that's where the money is coming at, and there's nothing that indicates at this point that live sports bubble is bursting anytime soon. So yeah, right. Barring all the networks deciding all at once, "No, we don't want you guys anymore," and them not presenting any sort of argument that they're sports, that's really the only way that they're not going to increase their TV deal. But that's probably not going to happen. ESPN will pick them up, and you know what I mean. And now you have all the streaming networks involved in this too when the time comes again. They're gonna, it'll most likely be a bigger deal next time for sure.
They're gonna be fine. even the Fox deal, which is probably, you can't really call it a massive success from Fox's standpoint. I even think there's been some quotes out of Fox people saying that they're slightly disappointed, which makes sense because they're last in total viewers nearly every single Friday. They don't always win some weeks they do. They're number one. Some weeks they don't. And they don't completely dominate in the summer against reruns. Like, that was supposed to be the like hidden value of the deal. Like, okay, during the TV season, it might be neck and neck on Friday nights with some of the other programming, but we're going to clean up in the summer because everyone else is running reruns, and this is first run programming 52 weeks a year. And that hasn't happened. They haven't cleaned up in the summer. And, they're always last in total viewership, whatever you think that's worth, nearly every single week. So I think Fox was expecting a little more out of that. I wouldn't be surprised if Fox isn't interested the next time that comes around, but I mean, they're going to have plenty of suitors, and I would be pretty surprised if they don't get a larger deal in the next round. Same goes for AEW, but it's more interesting to me what kind of deal AEW gets, because is there going to be a network that sees AEW, that sees Dynamite slowly creeping up on Raw? They just beat Raw like for a month and a half straight, and males 18 to 49. They're right on Raw's heels in the demo and have beaten them, 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it was, total weeks. And, they're, 400,000 or 500,000 total viewers behind, but they do great they're very close to Raw in a lot of the demographics and the valuable demographics. So it's more interesting to me if there's gonna, if AEW can sustain this and keep growing, that it's just more interesting to me if there'll be a network that comes calling when their deal is up and says, okay, we have someone here who has the potential to put up these WWE-like numbers, and they're growing, and let's overpay for them and steal them from Turner, and then see how I'm more interested in the deal they get. And it's not gonna sniff what the $1 billion deals WWE is getting, but I'm curious how high an AEW deal can go. That's more interesting to me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you too. And one of the interesting aspects of that too is that it is potential that these deals, they come up at a certain point, and a network can say, yeah, we're interested in wrestling, but we're interested in that wrestling. We're interested in that sports property, AEW. And that could be bad for WWE in the same sense. Like, again, I don't think that's going to play out. I don't think that's a scenario, but there's a situation where there are, let's say, 4 networks that are legitimately interested in having pro wrestling and paying $1 billion for it or whatever. There's a real possibility that a few of them look at AEW and say, hey, look, okay, let's run these numbers, and we can realistically give these guys, half or 3/4 of the money that we're going to give WWE, and their numbers are pretty damn close here, and they're like they don't have the cachet that a WWE has. No, they don't. It's not the same thing. They haven't been around for X amount of years or whatever. But numbers wise, we might be able to do better, and that might prevent one of those 4 or 5 companies or hypothetical companies or networks to say, you know what, we're gonna bow out of this WWE deal, and we're gonna instead go after this AEW deal, unless it gets too rich for our blood or whatever. And then we'll do that. We'll go back to WWE or whatever. But that could play out. Like the last time WWE was at the table here, they were the only game in town, and they were, hey, if you want first run sports entertainment, sports, live sports, whatever, we're here for you. We have our show. That's not the case anymore. So I guess that is the big thing that you have to factor in, and that's kind of what happened when I mentioned all those many years ago with Spike in USA, where Spike said, you know what, we got UFC, we're good, so peace. You know what I mean? Like what they actually did is, and then they got TNA not that far after, if you remember, because they looked at TNA and said, hey, well, pay these guys fucking peanuts. We have UFC, we want UFC. Yeah. Wrestling will be cool to have on the network too. Oh, hey, let's pay these guys peanuts, and they'll just replace WWE for us. And that's what they did. And Spike was, for many, many years, fine with that, because UFC was driving such huge revenue, and TNA was, TNA, but like, hey, they got it for 1/90th of the price of WWE or whatever it was. that could also play out too, where if some of these networks go, you know what, we have other sports, and hey, there's another wrestling company out there right now. Like, again, I wouldn't bet on that happening. I would bet that WWE still signs some massive TV deal, but at least there's another player in the market, and there could be some hesitation from some networks because there's a competitor out there that is doing stuff and delivering numbers at a decent price that can be had at a much lower price.
Yeah, it's like what you just said. I mean, it's easier to walk away from the table with WWE if like you said, you can get AEW for a much cheaper price and get more return on your investment too, because they're not that far behind realistically. So, I mean, the numbers don't lie, and there's still plenty of time before these deals are up. So if they can keep growing at the rate that they've been growing, and it's so funny to like see people, and I know it's some of the dumbest people on earth, but it's growing, and it's like, well, you don't see the nut. Like, what are you looking at? In the month of January, Dynamite was the only wrestling show that did grow. So they keep growing, and they're pulling 0.2s or better at 10 o'clock at night on Fridays. I mean, that TV execs see that stuff. So you're right. You're more. This is why WWE tried so hard to make sure they never got off the ground and succeeded, because they don't want networks getting up and leaving the table when it comes to negotiation time and have another cheaper option available. So that to me is the more interesting aspect, because nothing is going to stop. At this point, when you're talking about over $1 billion in revenue in 2021, and you're talking about quarters that are over $300 million.
Yeah, $310 million in Q4.
The only thing that can stop them at this point is a scandal. And they've seemed to be Teflon when it comes to scandals over the years. I mean, can that luck run out eventually? I mean, you would think. But Vince McMahon's the luckiest human to ever walk the earth. I mean, nothing sticks to that guy. It's incredible. So I don't know. It's become boring analyzing WWE, because it's like what they have achieved now. It's like when you beat a video game and now you're just doing side missions. It's not the same. Like they've achieved it.
Yeah, the hunger's gone. You're kind of messing around because you like the game, you don't want to finish it, but you're probably not going to last much longer in the game. You're going to fuck around for another hour or two, and then just realize, I'm just do something else now.
It's like beating a Grand Theft Auto, and now you're just collecting the fucking, what are the things you got to collect in Grand Theft?
Like the seashells and San Andreas,
like
or whatever.
100 seashells. Yeah,
right. You're diving into the water.
You're swimming off the pier looking for seashells, and right. You're gonna get bored of like there's nothing left to do. Like that's what they've achieved here. So, there's really nothing left. We're going to come back in 3 months and talk about how, they've had their best quarter ever and they beat the previous best quarter ever by 10 million. And it's just incremental, beating how much they can beat their previous records at this point. It's all guaranteed money. Yep. And it's frustrating if you're a wrestling fan, because no matter how bad the product is, no matter how bad the Royal Rumble is, it does not fucking matter. And they still have 30, 40, 50,000 people willing to buy tickets to their big three events, as we just saw at the Rumble.
And that's what I was going to bring up too. Like you mentioned that Saudi Arabia is going nowhere. That's the thing that's going to last. The TV deal, those are going to last. I think WrestleMania too is going to last. Royal Rumble is going to last. And that's another, I believe that's a Nick Khan thing. And I know that he likes to tout it on all these calls. I don't know if it was him exactly, but his idea of every time we have one of these big shows, do it in this big giant arena, man. Let's make this a big arena thing. Let's sell as many goddamn tickets as we can, because these are the things that matter. These things, no matter what. And I guess we'll see on next year's Royal Rumble, but I'm sure no matter what this Royal Rumble was, next year they're going to announce a Royal Rumble in X Town, and it's going to sell out 60,000 tickets, 50,000 tickets, 40,000 tickets, whatever. Like, people are still going to go. You know what I mean? Like, I truly do not believe that the Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, or WrestleMania are going anywhere anytime soon. Those will always sell 40,000 to 60,000 tickets. Those will always be a big ticket item. They're always going to get that Saudi thing. They're always going to have those TV deals, and everything else in between really doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? They can sell 2,000 tickets to a Raw. It doesn't matter. They can have horrific TV, low ratings, have their worst ratings ever. It doesn't matter. Until that TV deal is up and they're at the negotiating table, and some of these numbers may matter, they don't matter, and I don't even think the numbers are going to matter at that point all that much either. So,
well, this is why Nick Khan has come up with this idea to create this day one event, and the idea behind day one is to create another mega event where the event itself is what's over, and eventually they can start running that in a major building as well. And the idea behind that is Nick Khan being, having a sports background and knowing that January 1st has been traditionally a huge sports day in the United States for decades. And college football over the last couple decades has kind of abandoned the day. It used to be all of the major bowl games were on January 1st. Now, some of them still are, but now with the playoffs and the national championship
right, you
game,
got January 5th is important, and these other random days are way more important. Yeah, that first Monday of the year is way more important than January 1st is now.
Yeah, if you were a sports fan, it used to be you knew on January 1st you were getting the 7 biggest bowl games. They were all happening on January 1st, and college football kind of gave that day up. I mean, not entirely, but it doesn't have the cachet it used to have.
It really doesn't. Yeah, this year
you're old enough to remember that. And
yeah, for sure. And this year, and for some reason, it hasn't been that way in a couple of years. But for some reason, this year on New Year's Day, I was just like, I was around all day. I think the nurse was working, and I wasn't really doing anything. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna strap in for a full day of college football. And it was like, no, you're not. No, yeah, I was watching North Texas versus somebody in some random bowl. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, this isn't what I wanted. And what's interesting
this is not the Rose. This is not the Sugar Bowl. This
right. Where's the Cotton Bowl, man? Get that out of here. It was like, it was. They were like, there were bowl games, but they weren't ones that I gave a shit about. It was, they were being played in Birmingham, Alabama, and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know. This isn't quite what I wanted. But what's cool is, the NBA has kind of picked up the pace on New Year's Day. They're doing a lot more on New Year's Day, and that's to Nick Khan's credit, realizing, hey, we have an opportunity. Why do you think the NBA is doing that? Yeah. That's why Nick Khan and the NBA are trying to, because the college football, that would have been unheard of in 1990. Think about another sport trying to nudge into New Year's Day. Oh God, forget it.
You're wasting your time. But now the door is open, and Nick Khan comes from that world, and he sees that opening. He knows that nobody's at work, and that could be a day that WWE can make their own. And that's the long-term plan with day one. I don't know if a lot of people realize that. A lot of people might think that that's just another B show on the schedule. No, they're going to attempt to make that. Oh, it's not. No. Yeah, that's a big Khan directive. And I'm sure he's got plans because, like you just said, these events now are entities unto themselves. They're draws unto. It doesn't matter
how long have we been saying WrestleMania is the draw? We have people saying, "Well, Roman deserves because." No, it doesn't matter who's at WrestleMania. No. We're in a post wrestler atmosphere here. It's WrestleMania. It does not matter who's on the marquee. It doesn't matter who's in the card, who's in the main event, who's going for what title. It doesn't fucking matter. It's WrestleMania. That's the draw. We've been saying that for 10 years now, and maybe people will start listening soon. Maybe.
Well, I mean, all they have to do is look at ticket sales when tickets go on sale before anything is announced for the show. You might know general directions, or you might have a decent idea of
That was a horrific burp. You all right there?
That was a horrible burp.
That was sickening. Usually your burps don't sicken me. That one was pretty gross. So
that was
something came up in that one, I think.
No, nothing came up, but TLB made a very delicious pot roast tonight. So that was a
pot roast burp. Okay.
I scarfed that down before the show. Normally I'll eat after the show on Thursdays, but she made it in the fucking slow cooker, and I'm like, no, I have to eat this now. So I scarfed down a bowl of that like 30 seconds before we started, and it just repeated on me, the pot roast. The burp actually tasted kind of good, if I'm being honest. It was,
hopefully there's some left over so you can get some after the show then. So
yeah, but yeah, just check the ticket sales when they put ticket sales for wrestling. I mean, they'll sell 30,000 tickets before anything's announced. So that's what they want to kind of create again. And those are the new challenges for them, creating new mega events. Now they're collecting shells, right? They're creating new mega events, and the other big idea is kind of creating this Marvel-like universe, which is the verbiage they used. That's not that's how they describe it with their IP and their characters. And now this new thing on today's call that Stephanie McMahon brought up, that they're looking deep into the metaverse, Rich. So that's their next goal as well, is to get a piece of this metaverse. So what do you even make anything of that, or you just want to no-sell that?
No, I'm staying out of all that stuff right now.
Yeah.
I'm officially going to declare myself old and say I don't understand any of it, and I don't want to understand any of it. So I'm staying out of NFTs, out of the metaverse. I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need any. I don't need any bored apes. I don't need a metaverse. I'm good.
We can bring Gabe Sapolsky on to talk about NFTs and the metaverse, and we can do that.
We do need to. Actually, I'm I'm not glad that that man lost his job, but we can't, because we're approaching our 10-year anniversary, and he was going to be one of the calls I was going to say if we're going to do a guy like old guests that need to come onto the show. I don't think Booker T's coming, guys. So that's out.
Coming back.
I think Booker's out. Christopher Daniels is
he ain't coming on.
He's not coming. TJP, maybe if I'm off and it's just you.
yeah.
If you tell him the LeBron guy is not on the show and it's just you, maybe.
Yeah.
Rob Conway. I don't know if we're gonna get Rob Conway on the show.
I wouldn't know where to find him.
Bruce Tharp. We never touched Bruce Tharp though, right?
No. Bruce. I invited Bruce onto the show. I don't know if I ever told this story, but he's kind of out of the business, so I guess we could tell it. So I invited Bruce on, and Bruce said, "Sure, I'd love to come on." He goes, "All the boys in the New Japan locker room love Voices of Wrestling." Those were his exact words. And I said, "All right, great." And this is when he was doing, the New Japan thing, managing, Big Daddy Yum Yum and Conway and all those guys. And so I hear back from him. I don't hear back from him for a while. 2 days later, I get an email with a list of questions. I'm like, what the fuck is this? He was willing to come on, but only with the pre-approved list of questions that he sent to us.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, Bruce, it doesn't work this way. Like, you can't tell me what to ask you. And he's like, well, I can only do this if you ask me these specific questions. And I'm like, well, no thanks. You're not coming on my show and then telling me what questions to ask so you can give your pre-prepared answers. That's not how this goes. So that was the end. I don't even know if I ever told you that. To actually,
I don't know. That does. I remember you said that we were going to have him, and then you said something came up. Yeah, I don't really want to talk to Bruce. I think you just said it's not going to be a good interview, so I'm just not going to do it.
I thought
he was like gimmicking you. I thought he was just like, ha ha ha, you want to talk to the leader of the, and I was just like,
Well, that I might have done.
Yeah, right. I thought he was going to be Bruce Tharp in character, and you were just like, yeah, I don't really know if I want to do that.
With the glittery jacket and everything.
right.
He sent me like 12 questions. He's like, ask me these questions.
Yeah, get out of here.
Like, no shot, that's like DDP when we turned him down because he said we had to talk about the yoga, and I'm like, you can plug the yoga, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you questions about yoga. Hey, Dallas, tell us about
our listeners don't
tell us
care
about the warrior pose, Dallas. I'm not going to do that. So.
Yeah, his agent was like, I think I still have the email. His agent was like, Dallas will come on, but you have to ask yoga questions. You can slip in some wrestling questions, but he wants to be interviewed about the yoga. And I'm like, well then go to a yoga website.
Podcast. Yeah, go to a yoga website. We're not talking about the yoga here.
No chance. And the guy was stunned. He's like, this is Diamond Dallas Page. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not talking to you. Could tell me Ric Flair's coming on if he wants to talk about anything other than wrestling.
Car
I'm not
Shield,
interested.
yeah. If I have to ask Ric Flair a bunch of Car Shield questions, he can hit the bricks.
Yeah, I don't, So yeah, but like that would be so disrespectful to everybody listening if we bring on like Diamond Dallas Page and because our listeners know we don't give a fuck about yoga. It's just
that's not true. I like yoga, but I didn't want to talk to Diamond Dallas Page about yoga. So.
Total waste of everyone's time. And I'm not going to ask Bruce Tharp I'm not going to let Bruce Tharp conduct his own interview. Right. So that wasn't going to work out either.
Velvel Holler, maybe we can get Velvel Holler to show up. So
oh God, she's got you blocked. She's not coming on. She ended up blocking us eventually.
Yeah, she did.
So that's not going to.
Yeah.
Interviews stink, let's be honest.
Let's just get Gabe on and talk about NFTs.
We'll bring Gabe and we'll bring Biss. We'll shoot the shit with Biss.
Yeah,
that's like the only two people I want to talk about.
Gabe and Yeah, I'll leave for the TJP part of the interview, but I'll secretly be there, and then you guys can talk about the NBA. No, I'm trying to think. Is there anybody else we could? No, yeah, the indie guys we talked about. Most of them are all in different paths or different careers at this point. So
ACH, he ain't coming back either.
Yeah, I don't think he's.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, we kind of did. That's when we ditched the interviews. So that's it, if you can tell. Oh, Victoria, we'll get Tara, TNA's Tara on there. She'll.
I mean,
not impossible.
She blamed the publicist the first time.
Yeah, she was very. I told you that story when I went to her restaurant, and I mentioned I was rich, and she remembered. I don't know how she remembered. She's probably done thousands of interviews or whatever. But she was like, "Wait, Voices of Wrestling. Did I do an interview with you guys?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I am so sorry." And she went into a long rant about TNA, and I'm just like, "All right, look, I don't care that much." I was fine. Like I was like, I forgot about it. It's not that big of a deal. We deal with this all the time. She's like, "No, I am very sorry. That is not me. That girl didn't know what the hell she was doing." I was like, "Hey, look, all right, if we're shooting on whatever. What was her name? We remembered her name for a while.
Jennifer, the PR, the
I don't
PR
remember her name, but she
TNA?
stunk.
She was the worst.
She
I think
was
her name was
so bad.
Jennifer or something. I think it was Jennifer.
Well, hopefully she found a new line of work because that was not good.
No, she's gone. She's gone for years. She's been long gone.
But it did not go well, and several members of the Total Nonstop Action roster were not big fans of her either.
No, she would cut into the interviews and say, "Last question," and then the wrestlers half the time would be like, "No, it's cool. You know, just I got more time." You know, they would like be embarrassed when she, you know what I mean? And but she would cut in and last question. We're down to 5 minutes, like that, and then like whoever the fuck, like Christopher Daniels would be like, "No, man, it's cool.
Like, "No, I'm fine."
Yeah, it's cool. I got, you can ask whatever you got left, and she just, she was the worst.
Like midway through a question too, which was the worst. It made it tough to edit.
No, didn't give a fuck.
Like just Christopher Daniels would be like, "Yeah, so that like I've wrestled all over. All right, one more question, guys. Then we got." It's like, all right, well, he didn't even finish his answer. So like now
a
I gotta...
dump truck in a fucking China shot, just bulldozing in.
Like let him finish his. It wasn't like waiting for a gap in time. It was just like at 10 minutes flat, I'm gonna butt in and say that we have 5 minutes left to go. Okay, we know we have clocks. We're good. Like we got this. We're professionals. Tiffany.
Not to mention, anyone from TNA sounded like they were on two cans and a string. I don't know what that was about either. Like it was always like, I don't know if they were using like a fucking pay phone outside the fucking impact zone, but it was not the best fucking quality connections either. It was pretty brutal.
So we'll just talk to Bix and Bix and Gabe for 3 hours. Then we'll see. We'll figure it out. I got some ideas.
Did you say Bix?
Oh, Bix. No, I meant Biss. Biss. We'll talk to Bix too if he wants to talk.
We'll probably get Bix
if
you really want to get Bix, so we can get Bix.
Yeah.
I don't really want to interview anyone though, to be honest. I mean,
Mysterioso Jr.
You struggled with that one, didn't you? Because I don't think I was on that one.
Yeah, you were not. Yeah, last minute you said I can't do it, and I went, oh boy.
Like, what do I got on Mysterioso Jr.?
It's me interviewing a. Not exactly a star luchador.
Yeah. Did you try to get Cubs fan last minute to save you? Like,
I didn't. I just went through his cage match, and I was like, Arena Mexico. Let's talk about Arena Mexico. You wrestled there once, so.
Yeah. Did he try to stay in character? Or
no, he was good. He was good. He was fine.
He was good?
Yeah,
okay.
He was fine.
Yeah.
The problem, though, is like 2 questions in, I was already asking about Alberto Del Rio. Because I think it's his cousin. What's his...
I think there's some relation.
Yeah, there's some relation, and I'm sure he was just like, he's like, "Can you just interview me and not talk about Del Rio or whatever?" And I was like, "No, I can't." So, it wasn't Mysterioso Jr. I forget who it was now. Actually,
wasn't it
Psychodelico?
Psychodelico Jr. Is that what it was?
Jr., which is not a great get. So
you just yeah.
What do you ask? What do you ask Psychodelico Jr.?
I mean, in 2013, I'd have to. This is going way back now. I mean,
very quickly into the interview, I'm talking Mil Mascaras, Dos Caras, Alberto Del Rio, Arena Mexico. Yeah. It's like it did not take long for me to say, yeah, I don't know anything about you, so let's talk about your famous family members.
Yeah. He was probably very insulted by that.
Let's talk about your uncle, Mil Mascaras. He's like, oh, all right.
Who does this guy wrestle as now? Is he still working the same game?
I have no idea who Psychedelico Jr. Russell's ass, but that one was rough.
Well, I spelled it right. That was a shot in the dark. Let's see. Is he still working? No, he hasn't wrestled a match since 2015.
Ugh, well, I didn't help. I'll tell you that.
He's worked as El Psychedelico Jr., Dos Caras. Didn't he signed with WWE, didn't he? Like after we interviewed him?
Yeah. No. I think he was with them a little bit before. Yeah, he was with them before.
Yeah. He was there with he was a spiral, remember? Because he had the spiral design on his
cool mask. Very cool mask. I got 10 minutes out of his mask, so that was kind of cool.
So he was in FCW with Vance Archer, Mr. Tarver, so an incarnation of Michael Tarver. Let's see who else. Oh, Lennox McEnroe. Do you know who Lennox McEnroe was without looking it up?
Man, I remember, it's off the top of my head, and I don't remember who Lennox McEnroe was.
He was brought up on this show already.
Oh, he's Yum Yum, right? Byron Wilcott, right? Yeah, Byron Wilcott.
Byron Wilcott, yeah. Ezekiel Jackson, Yoshitatsu. So that was his era.
That's a hell of a crew, yeah, good crew.
Of FCW. He didn't last very long. It looks like he was there for like 3 months. And then we got him in like 2013 when, what was he doing then? Just some Texas Indies, it looks like. And then he wrapped it up. That's it. 2015, that's the end of that. So.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure you did a great job as hard-hitting questions and really got to the heart of all the
Texas Indies
Jr. matters that you needed to get to. So. You think he was insulted? You kept asking about his family?
Oh, I'm sure. No, I think he was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know.
He's never going to hear this, Rich. You don't have to be.
Yeah, it's true.
Weird about it.
Well, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember how it went. I remember it going poorly, but I think everything that I do goes poorly. So.
Actually, he wouldn't it be funny if he remained a listener and he is listening?
Yeah, right. He's like, oh man, these guys buried
like,
me. I thought it was a great interview.
Yeah,
I love talking about my Uncle Bill Mascaras. Like, why is he going?
Yeah, he fires it up once or twice a year to relive the one time he got interviewed. Yeah, absolutely.
Jr. Yeah, I think that was right about the end of the interviews. That was right.
Yeah, it's time to tap out. No more interviews. This is brutal. What do we ask?
Yeah. Oh god. All right. So yeah, probably
and then nobody listens either.
Yeah, it was just a wreck.
Listening.
Yeah, it was an absolute wreck. That's why we do the show we do now, and that's why on the 10th anniversary we'll probably just do a fuck around show like this. So.
Sometimes every now and then I'll watch like another podcast interview somebody and it's like,
oh, they're all bad. They're all terrible.
Like Jay White. Like Jay White does the whole thing. Like he doesn't answer any questions. He's like partially in character. It'd be so frustrating. I'd end up getting in arguments with these people. You come on my show and you're going to be in character. It's like hit the bricks.
Yeah. Cut the shtick. Switchblade, all right. Like, let's talk. Like, let's get the brass tacks.
Like I would not do that to my listeners. It's a waste of my time, the listeners' time. Sure. He doesn't answer anything. Anyway,
garbage. All right, that's why we didn't do it anymore. All right, we've stalled long enough. Let's talk about this Royal Rumble show. Last Saturday, Royal Rumble.
Do we have to? That's Dewey Foley's at Twitter handle. Do we have to?
Do we have to? Yeah, I don't know if he had any part in this, but. Yeah, if he did, he should be ashamed of himself. But apparently the only person that made any wrong decisions that night was Shane McMahon. Luckily, that got his ass out of there. So now WWE's good again because they got Shane McMahon out of there. I don't know what's going on here. So the Royal Rumble, currently a 2.69 on Cage Match. I know a lot of people are expecting you and I to get upset about this show and get angry. But like, why? How could you get angry about WWE anymore? It's just absurd. The company's absurd.
Well, I'll tell you this. I was angry watching this because I watched this late. I was out on Saturday and I came home and because we were thinking about doing instant reaction and I told you, I was like, look, Britt wanted to take the kids out and I was like, look, I'm not going to be home. And you were like, oh, good, because I don't want to talk about this anyway. You were very short. You were like, good. I didn't want to do it.
I had a house full of people just sitting there staring at the screen. And then the wives of the friends would occasionally look up and be like, this sucks, right? You guys think this sucks, right? We're like, oh yeah, no, we do. Like, because they had to do a check-in. You know what I mean? Like the check-in of like, they're watching and they know it sucks. You know what I mean? Because they're normal human beings and they know wrestling at a baseline usually sucks, but this wrestling really sucks, you know? And they had to check in every so often to make sure that they're like, did I marry somebody that likes this? And we're like, no. I assure you, I promise you this is bad. Like it was like halfway through Becky Lynch and Dewdrop that one of the women just said like, I'm not coming next year. She just said like,
how could you want?
She's like, remind me not to come next year. Like I'm good. Like the food's great. Thank you for having me. I'm not coming next year. I'm telling you right now, I'm not coming again. And I was like, you know what? That's fine.
I can't blame you.
Totally understand.
It's brutal.
Let your husband come, but you stay home and we've lost. We used to have like 5 or 6 different. Well, we're down to 2, and one of them lives here. So
yeah,
who went to bed by the way halfway through the men's Royal Rumble. So
again,
thrilled by what was going on and could not blame her. So okay, so you were a little bit angry while you were watching this. You were a little angry watching the show.
Yeah, because
what
I came home and why? Because first of all, it's 4 fucking hours long. That's number one, and it's bad. So you're watching a bad show that's 4 hours long, and I wanted nothing more than for this show to just end. When the Bobby Lashley Brock Lesnar match was over, I'm like, all right, we're gonna get through this men's Rumble, and I can finally move on with my night, get ready for the NFC Championship game tomorrow, you know, whatever. And I forgot that the Edge Beth Phoenix Miz Maurice match existed. And I'm like, oh Christ, there's another fucking match before this Royal Rumble now. And this show's going to be another fucking hour and 45 minutes at this point. And no one on earth needed that mixed tag match. That was the shits. On a show with a bunch of terrible matches, that may have been the least inspired and the worst match of them all. And then you have to sit through another entire Royal Rumble after that. So yeah, this show annoyed me because it felt never ending. It was bad. Nothing on the show was good. Not a single thing on this show was, well, I don't want to say that. There were parts of certain matches that were okay. And yeah, I was frustrated and I hated it and I was hot about it because I just wanted it to end. It was one of those shows that I just didn't want to watch anymore. And I would have turned it off if we didn't do this podcast.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing. Yeah, this is just an absolutely embarrassing show to have watched with humans and I don't know if I'm mad about it, especially not anymore. I think I was mad in the moment just because I had people over and I thought it was just like... What angered me is that the Royal Rumble was Teflon. I've always said, and I've said on this podcast, the Royal Rumble it's like pizza. Even a bad Royal Rumble is decent enough. They proved me wrong on this night. Twice they proved to me, no.
Yeah.
There is such a thing as a horrendous Royal Rumble. The men's Royal Rumble right now on Cage Match is a 1.9 rating. And some of that's performative, obviously, but it was that bad. It was a horrific Royal Rumble match, and the women's was no better.
I thought the women's was worse.
The women's was embarrassingly like, what is going on in this match? I mean, these are professionals, quote unquote, right? These are supposed to be trained, and they were awful. There was more horrific wrestlers in that women's Rumble match than you can even name. I mean, nothing looked good. Yeah. Everything was fucked up. Everybody was slow. Everybody was weird. I'm trying to honestly remember what any decent spots were in that entire match.
Listen.
Especially getting Sasha out of there like 5 people in. So
the men's Rumble was boring, but the women's Rumble was bad.
Correct.
It was just a really, really bad match with a lot of bad wrestlers. The men's Rumble was boring, but honestly, I thought once Brock got in, I enjoyed the last 5 minutes.
It became absurd. Yeah, and that's a lot of what's great about recent Royal Rumbles where they absolutely have no clue what they're doing. Like you always loved the 2015 Royal Rumble. To you, that's the most absurd Royal Rumble because people are just pissed off, they're annoyed, they're angry, and then number 30 hits and it's Rey Mysterio and they're just like, fuck this shit. And then they essentially riot. For the rest of the show, they fucking riot the rest of and it's great because it's absurd. And that was exactly what it was for me. When I think what in the men's Rumble, what reached the absurdity for me is when they just tossed out Big E like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah.
Because I had people in the room be like, all right, well, people that were with me were like, yeah, well, Big E's probably winning this thing, right? And they just like one grab. I don't even remember who eliminated him, but somebody just grabbed him and went, "Yep," he's out of the ring and done. And it was just like, all right, well, there's that. Like it was just
he got tossed by Riddle and Orton. I think.
Yeah, and just like he's just gone. You know, actually, taking it back a little bit, Kofi fucking up.
Oh God,
I think that's when it turned absurd. Because it was already boring and bad, and then he does his dumb thing, and falls, and it's just like.
Can I tell you?
And then nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew what to do in the ring. They died.
I have never been more giddy over a spot. I was so happy he fell because I hate that fucking spot. It's overdone. It sucks. I was so pleased that he fell and fucked that spot up and eliminated himself. Now maybe they'll stop trying that shit.
Yeah. I do like that they did it shoot style too, where like because he got his feet up real quick, and the referee was just like, nah. Like you could see Kofi be like, my feet, and the referee was like, nah. He like checked his earpiece and then looked at Kofi and just went, nah. Like you gotta go. Like it's over.
That was hilarious.
It was great. And then the follow up being nobody in the ring knowing what to do, all thinking, Yep. I was supposed to do this with Kofi. Kofi was going to do this. Everybody froze and went, what do we do now? It is embarrassing how much everybody froze in that match at that moment.
Yeah. These fucking robots had no clue what to do. Just clueless. Time froze for everybody in that ring. They all paired off with someone and went in the corner to do the little noogie fucking punches to the top of the head. And the match completely fell apart for like the next 6 minutes, the next 3 entrants, because Kofi fucked up his spot. And at that point, the match went from boring and bad to absurd and fun. Because not long after that, then Brock came in. Big E gets tossed like a sack of shit. Brock comes in and just destroys everybody, which I love because I love Brock destroying everyone.
Oh, yeah. I'm still, there's people that get upset about Brock. I love it because it just proves how absurd and stupid this company is.
Yes, I love it for 2 reasons. One reason, I love watching Brock destroy everyone. And number 2, I love the Schadenfreude aspect of it.
People get so upset about it. Then you go on Twitter and they're, make it make sense. Why Brock again? It's like, what are you idiots doing? What do you think's going to happen? Like, what do you think?
That's the other aspect of it. Yeah. The fact that the people who still cling to hope that this company is good hate Brock so much that I love when they overpush Brock. I love it. I get off on it. I'm like a child.
Yeah, you hear that, and you do the Brock pose. You rip your, you put your arms up in the air and go dun dun dun, and you just know absurdity is going to happen. It's going to be great.
If you go back in our Discord, I was live giving my live thoughts on the show as I was watching it at 3 a.m, and the 2 times I popped like a fucking maniac were when Kofi fucked up the spot. I fucking love that shit. And when Brock came in and just fucking destroyed everybody and won. I'm like, this is good now. This match is good now. Like, because I love Brock, and I love that all the WWE fans hate Brock. So I love that they hated their night now. I love that he ruined everybody's night
again for like the 8th straight year. Brock has ruined everyone's night again, and they'll be back. They'll be back in April. They'll go watch it all over again.
Yeah, and I love that was the follow up to Ronda Rousey ruining all their nights.
Yes.
Like,
Rousey right. Yeah, a double whammy of just right. Yeah, it's the best. I love it.
And then so Ronda Rousey ruins their first Rumble, and then Brock ruins their second Rumble, and it's Schadenfreude. I fucking love that shit. I'm using the right word, right? Like taking pleasure in someone else's pain.
I believe so. Yeah.
So, not the shitty like Chris Brooks fucking faction or whatever. So that's like, I love that. Like that made the match for me. So that's why I say all the matches weren't terrible, because I really loved like the last third of the Men's Royal Rumble. Like some of it in an ironic way, some of it in a legitimate way, some of it in a, I know that the WWE fans hate this, so that means I like it way. Like there's 3 aspects to it.
For sure.
But very boring match. I guess we're starting there and we'll work backwards.
Yeah, well, let's start with the men's.
Since we already talked a lot about it.
Yeah.
Bad Bunny, I mean,
he was like legitimately the top 10% of wrestlers in the ring.
Because they treat him like a star.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's so funny. He comes in there, he does moves, he gets shine. People cheer. It's like, oh yeah, they know how to make stars. They know what stars are. The rest of this roster is not stars. I mean, Bad Bunny legitimately was. I can read the names of the other people on this list, and you can honestly, on one hand, count the people that were bigger, quote unquote, stars than Bad Bunny in this match.
I mean, they treat him like a star. So he was, like you're saying, one of the better people, better performers in the match because he did all his shit. I mean, like, he's not bad. We saw at WrestleMania that he's not bad. Like, he's definitely passable, and if everyone's working hard to make him look good, it works.
Yeah.
Right? He's a fan. He tries hard. He takes pride in it, and everyone's like trying to make him look good. So it all adds up to every time he wrestles, it's pretty good, right? And they treat him like a star, which is the big thing. And and they treat Brock like a star, so he always looks good, and his shit is fun. And Big E, like, supposedly he was supposed to do a lot of spots with Kofi, and that got fucked up. But I thought it was embarrassing. We didn't talk enough about that. Like, Big E, Kofi eliminates himself like a total goof, and hopefully that's the end of those spots. And then no one knows what to do. Time stands still. It's not an indictment on these wrestlers.
Oh, it's embarrassing. Yeah, especially it's a Royal Rumble. Just go to a corner and punch somebody, and then eventually just figure it out.
How about just wrestle? Figure
Right.
it out. Like, what? These are professional wrestlers, and a lot of them in the ring at that time were like guys that you wouldn't think would freeze in the moment. Like veterans that should know better. This wasn't like Boogs and fucking...
Yeah, if it's Madcap Moss and Boogs in the ring, and they might not know anything other than like a very structured WWE style, but yeah, there's a few guys in the ring that should have known what the hell to do.
Yeah, there's people in there that you think more of, and they were fucking spellbound. None of them had a clue what to do. It was embarrassing. It was really embarrassing to watch these guys just completely fall apart because someone got eliminated before they were supposed to, and all of their pre-planned shit went out the window, and they had no clue what to do. You would think that they would just wrestle and improvise and just do it, but nope. And they were probably awaiting instruction, because who knows who Kofi was supposed to eliminate, or who knows who was supposed to eliminate Kofi. And it completely fell apart for a good 4 or 5 minutes. No exaggeration. That's how long it took for the match to get back on track. And then Big E just gets tossed like a total non-entity, and maybe he would have had more shine if Kofi, if the Kofi spot didn't go awry.
Yeah, maybe.
That's totally possible. But I'm not counting on that
because he was just tossed out. Yeah, he wasn't a Final Four guy. He wasn't even in contention at any point for this match. He was just gone, like midway through the match. But you're done. All right, see ya, pal.
We're gonna wait and see, though.
Let it play out.
Let that play out. And they've moved him to SmackDown now, back with his geek tag team partners. So he's back to being a mid-carder. Didn't we tell everyone
Joe, this is so unbelievable. I wish anybody could have predicted this, and I did. There was a bunch of tweets out there saying like, yeah, they said let it play out, but most people gave it time and let it play it out, or they said it would work, or they said no, we didn't. We told you, we told you 6 months ago this is what was going to happen. You idiot!
I told you the week he won the title.
Right,
I told you the week he won the title. This is what would happen.
Oh God, we've watched this dumb company enough times. Just listen to us. We promise we're not wrong.
God. The difference is, unlike a lot of these sites, we don't have to pretend it's going well.
Make it make sense, Joe. Make it make sense. No, they don't make sense. Stop trying to make it make sense.
Oh, John Alba?
Just everybody. And I've seen that from a bunch of people. Yeah, he had another one too of just like, I don't know. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Of course it doesn't fucking make sense. It's WWE, man. Like,
well, he's a complete moron.
Yeah.
John Alba is just a complete... Go do your little podcast with Matt Hardy, your little fluffy pot. No one needs to hear from you, John Alba. Nobody cares. Okay? You provide nothing to the community. Just go do your dopey little Matt Hardy podcast that nobody cares about, and just stay in your corner. We've had enough of Alba. But yeah, Big E, I mean, this is to be expected.
Yeah, it sucks. Exactly... It absolutely sucks. Because, yeah, like you said, he's back on SmackDown, and we predicted he'll be throwing pancakes by WrestleMania season. It might even be before that. It might be throwing pancakes by Elimination Chamber. You know what I mean? Like, he might be throwing pancakes tomorrow at this point.
Yeah, on SmackDown. Yeah. So we all saw that coming. They blew that. You can't recapture that. So now people see them as, for how they present them. And, the rest of this was a series of people like Boogs and Otis.
I never had to answer who's that more than I've ever had to on this night. Because like some generic rock riff would start. It'd be like, dun, 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 and they'd be like, who's that? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, it's Madcap Moss. And I'm like, it's Madcap Moss. They're like, who is Madcap Moss? I'm like, I don't know. Like,
You're like, I don't know. You're like, I don't watch this.
Right. Like Ridge Holland. I'm like, yeah, it's Ridge Holland. Who's Ridge Holland? I don't know. Like that's essentially all night. That's what my entire night was,
I don't know. He's a guy.
How do you describe Ridge Holland? When somebody, Joe, you were sitting there watching wrestling with somebody, and Ridge Holland comes out, how do you describe Ridge Holland to someone?
Oh, well, I mean, that's he's got a great tag team with Sheamus, and they're European, and they're tough.
They like to fight, I think.
I think he used to play soccer, Ridge Holland. I think
he's a footy player, but
he
got
was a
that.
goalie, I think he was a goalie.
Okay.
Unless I'm confusing him with some other European guy that they cut 3 years ago. Hey, Bob Roode. Bob Roode was in the
Bob Roode was in there, yeah.
So just all the stars come out.
They were all out there. Yes. Insert the Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
Right there,
all the stars.
Madcap Moss, Riddick, Ridge Holland. All the stars are out.
Except these names are real somehow. Right. These names are
Damian
real.
Priest.
Yes, U.S. champion who abruptly got tossed out by Omos. So,
I did like the weeks of Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio stories of like father son who will throw each other. Dominic's just out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
didn't even wait. There was no interaction between the two. What a horrible match. Jesus, we needed. Oh man! Before Pat Patterson died, they should have had him write down like 20 different Royal Rumble structures. You know what I mean?
I am glad you brought that up because I wanted to bring this up to you. We have seen these are hardly the only two bad Rumbles. There have been many bad Rumbles lately. Do you see a pattern here?
I do.
The Rumbles have gotten progressively worse the further removed we get from Pat Patterson being involved in these, and now he's dead. And now we're told that Shane McMahon, the last few years, has had a major hand in these Rumbles, and Shane McMahon has always had a reputation for being one of the worst wrestling minds, like, in that company. Like, he just doesn't get it. His ideas are terrible. So it's like Pat Patterson, he hung around even after he retired as like an advisor. I'm sure he was giving input. Then he got old and probably stopped doing that. Then he passes away. The further we get removed from Pat Patterson, the worse these Royal Rumbles get. That's not a coincidence, right?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
I mean, he put together
he was a
the best Royal Rumbles of all time, the ones that everybody remembers as the Great Rumbles. And, Shane McMahon certainly doesn't have a reputation like Pat Patterson for being a great wrestling mind, and all the drama surrounding this that's still coming out as we do this show live on Thursday night, where a lot of Shane's ideas were rejected, not just by Vince, but by a lot of the talent didn't like his ideas for this match. And a lot of his poor ideas and planning for this match and how poorly it went are part of the reason that he's allegedly gone from the company. So what a weird, bizarre, crazy story that he gets booted out of, his father's company was supposed to be. Now, look, I think it's an indictment that this guy was supposed to be in Elimination Chamber and in a WrestleMania match against Seth Rollins. Like, this is Shane just coming in, getting the big checks, and then disappearing for another year. That's a major problem in and itself.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Goldberg's coming back too. That as of this recording, there's a Fightful report out that Goldberg is back. So.
Well, you see, Rich,
that Saudi check's coming. He went, "Whoa, hold on a minute! You guys are going to Saudi Arabia? Hey, how's it going?"
Saudi check, WrestleMania. So,
whoa, what you guys doing? Hey, Goldberg here. How's it going? Yeah, how you guys
all
doing?
Of a sudden, Ronda Rousey and Goldberg and Brock Lesnar are available. Like, Ronda couldn't have had that baby fast enough. She's like, it's WrestleMania season. I got to have this baby, and I got to get in there. And, and I guess we'll talk about that when we get to that match. But, so this Shane thing is bizarre. I mean, but did we really need this guy at Elimination Chamber at WrestleMania anyway? No. I mean, I've never understood the Shane thing, but every time he gets a massive pop. Every fucking time. So I'm the one out to lunch, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know who these idiots are that cheer for Shane McMahon to come do his bad punches and turn purple and then, fall through a table so his dad gives him a hug and he never gets a hug. Yeah,
money. Yeah, I mean, I never popped for that
ching,
ever.
Ching. I liked Shane McMahon when I was like 12 because I was like, whoa, he goes high up things and then he falls through things.
Well, Rich,
It's
that was
awesome.
also 25 years ago.
right. I'm allowed to think he was cool in 2001, but
and he probably was in 2001. But
that was during the days. You mentioned that all of his ideas were terrible, but at that time, I don't know if you remember. I'm sure Shane was like probably part of this spreading, like among internet circles. Like Shane was like the smart one. Remember?
Yes.
They're like, oh, he wants to do this and he wants to do that, and his idea is to do this, and like everything that was good, like that was all credited to Shane McMahon. There was a couple year period on message boards where it was just like, once Shane takes this company over, like things are gonna go. But then like after he like sold his stock to go do Chinese pay-per-view or whatever the hell that thing was, then the stories came out that this guy was like a complete fucking clown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that most people are just like, all right, Shane, yeah, cool. All right. like,
Yeah. He was forward thinking in a couple ways. He was the first one to pitch internet shows, like wrestling shows on the internet as opposed to on TV. And wasn't he the one who originally pitched the idea of having satellite developmental promotions all over the globe?
I think so too. Yeah. He also tried to buy UFC, which would have been a very good investment. But
yes. So he had some forward thinking ideas years before anybody else had them. Then Triple H stole his idea for the for the satellite developmental promotions all over the world. Because the ECW reboot was originally supposed to be on WWE.com. And that was a Shane McMahon pitched idea, if I'm remembering this right. But, people were still on dial-up, a lot of people back. This is 2005, 2006, I guess. And not everybody had, high speed internet.
Streaming was horrific at that time. It was really bad.
Streaming is still horrific. I mean, we're in 2022, and there's still times where you have like streaming issues and things like that. But yes, then forget it. It was, but you could see how far he was thinking ahead, though, at least. But it's where Shane gets into trouble is people say his wrestling ideas, like laying out a match or booking ideas, are allegedly the worst shit you've ever heard, like Tommy Dreamer level bad. So, this is still weird though that that this had to be such a shit show on Saturday night with everybody turning against him for his father to throw him out of the company, right? I mean, this is just such a weird story.
Yeah, it's so strange. I haven't yet made sense of the story. Like every time like a news story would come up, I felt like I was in a bizarro world. I'm just like, what is going on in this story? Like we're now 4 or 5 days removed from the story, and I still don't really understand what's going on or what happened. Yeah. It's like every day they're like, well, Shane did this. It feels like we're just adding stuff that Shane did. You know what I mean? They're like, well, it started with like, Shane's just gone, and then Shane booked the Royal Rumble. Shane's been booking a lot of things, or Shane did this, or Shane ran over a baby with his car. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, I don't understand. I don't know what's real anymore about this Shane McMahon story. All I know is that Vince said, "Get the fuck out of here. You got to go, pal," and that's it. So I don't know. But like you said, it's embarrassing that he was going to be people are like, "Oh man, he was going to be such a big part of Elimination Chamber in WrestleMania." Why? What? That's a blessing in disguise. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's a problem.
God.
Yeah, I mean,
remember when he tossed out Kevin Owens? Like he did his horrific punches and then just threw Kevin Owens over.
Yeah, I mean, the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn thing, it's just good for them. Look,
get that bag, man. Get that bag.
I'm never going to bury anyone for that kind of decision at that point in their career. I mean, I thought that Jake Atlas made a really bad decision when he chose to sign there, just because he could have got in on the ground floor of AEW and been 3 years into a push instead of, 3 months into a push, and then he got injured, but you can't really help that. But for guys like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn that are 40 years old and they've got one more chance probably at a mega contract like this. And here's the other thing about that too. We don't know that Tony Khan made a comparable offer to either of them.
I know. Yeah, people always kind of assumed that. And I had that same question when he made that deal. I was like, we don't know that. We're just assuming. And he's like, it's very possible that Tony said, hey, look, like you got a lot of miles on you and I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I signed a bunch of dudes. Like, now, we don't know that.
I think Owens more likely than Zayn because there's a lot you can do with him. And he seems to have more left physically. and he'd be an instant main eventer, I think. But with Zayn, he is shot physically.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
he's done.
And he's been shot physically for a while, and it's like, I don't know that Khan we don't know. And even if they did, I don't begrudge either of these guys for saying, we got a good gig here. It's easy. Look at Sami Zayn. I mean, he never has to go out there and have a 4-star match again. He is getting over with his personality now. And he's doing angles with Johnny Knoxville and probably having the time of his life. And he's probably making 7 figures doing it. Whereas, okay, AEW, maybe you get a slightly easier schedule because they don't work as many dates and they don't have house shows. But when you do work, there's a working standard. And you have to work hard and you're expected to have good matches and all those things. And maybe, he feels like he doesn't want to do that at this point. Both of his shoulders have been fucked up. He's had all kinds of other injuries as well. And like we said, we don't know that there was even interest from their side in him. So I think people are being a little too hard in some cases on those two guys. It felt like I thought Owens was going to go to AEW, especially with all the hints he was putting out there. But hey, these are workers. And maybe that was all leverage.
Of course.
Too.
Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like we've always said, I think we're pretty consistent in our stance of, if you're going to go there and you're going to take that bag, as long as you're not on Twitter or you're Sasha doing pouty faces when you come out or whatever, I don't care. If you want to go there and say, look, I don't really give a shit because they're paying me a lot of money and I don't have to work my ass off, more power to you, man. That's the way to go. That's the Randy Orton style. And I always say that I respect the hell out of Randy Orton. That dude maximizes the amount of money he makes and minimizes the amount of work he does. That dude is doing it right. That is the way to go because he's not making pouty faces and complaining about his booking or any of that shit. He shows up, smokes his vape, goes out there, does his shit, smokes his vape, goes home, and bangs his hot wife. Like, he's good. You know what I mean? Like, that is how you do it. That's the way you do it. And, like, yeah, so I don't care. Like, and that's, a lot of people are upset about those guys re-signing and upset about their booking and all that sort of stuff. They know, I mean, they're not dumb. They know what's going on there. They might just, at this point in their careers, think, you know what, fuck it. I don't care. That's fine. I'm going to be set financially for the rest of my life. I don't have to work my ass off. There's no expectations. I don't have to go out there with, because if El Generico shows up in AEW, there's expectations that you're going to get El Generico.
Yeah.
You can't be whatever the hell this South African militant Sami, whatever the fuck this Sami Zayn character. Like, they don't want that. They want El Generico going out there and working his ass off. They want, like, what we got with Bryan Danielson. If Daniel Bryan went out there and worked quarter effort as the flying goat, a lot of people would be upset, but he didn't. He went out there and he busted his ass and he's right back to being ROH Bryan Danielson. And the same thing would happen with Kevin Owens. Like, he can't go out there and be, have comedy matches and stuff. People want him to be Kevin Steen. So yeah, there's a higher expectation there. If you don't think your body can live up to that, or you don't want to do that, which is right, all in your rights, then that's fine. But yeah, you can miss me if these guys start bitching and moaning on Twitter and stuff and make boo-boo faces. Then yeah, okay, I'll say, well, what the hell did you think was going to happen, guys?
And those two guys never do that.
Right. So I'm not expecting them to do that.
Now, do I give a shit about anything they do moving forward?
Oh God, no. I'll never give them another thought in my life.
No, I mean, Kevin Owens is, he's a hamster on the wheel. He's retired to me. I don't care about anything he does in this company. You can't take anything that happens in this company seriously. I mean, how can I invest in Kevin Owens, the wrestler? But he doesn't, he doesn't give a shit.
No.
About that at this point in his career.
And does he care that you, a wrestling critic, is not going to care about his matches?
No, he's gotten his flowers. He's gotten his flowers. Both of them have. So, but from my standpoint, I mean, Kevin Owens, I'm not turning on wrestling shows to see what Kevin Owens is up to. It's WWE. What's the point? It's all garbage. So, and he was just a guy in this match, as expected. And I don't know. So that was the men's rumble. I really liked the last third for the reasons I laid out already.
Yeah, just the absurdity was pretty great about it. All right, let's get to let's talk about the women's Royal Rumble now too. Let's just get all the Rumble matches out of the way. Just awful, just the worst shit ever.
Yeah, irredeemably
I
bad.
cannot believe. And then there was like people come out with these names of like, oh, Io Shirai is there, and Dakota Kai is there, and like imagine those women sitting there. Imagine you're Dakota Kai and you're backstage. You probably have your gear on, or at least close to your gear. You're kind of ready, and then like Kelly walks by. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're just like,
Yeah.
Sarah Logan, who they just fired 6 months ago, walks by.
Yeah. Who needed that?
And you're like, okay. I mean, you can have me wrestle if you want.
Who was that for? I mean, honestly.
No idea. I don't know who any of this was for. This is, and we've reached again this period that I talked about with Edge. Edge is probably the biggest example of this. Yeah. But these women were more of this example where we have now entered a period in WWE where the nostalgia acts were never ever stars on any level whatsoever, but they just pretend that they are now.
Yeah, Kelly, huge star.
Yeah, Melina comes out and they're like, "Oh my god, nobody cared about Melina."
Oh god, how heavy-handed was that? And then she's in the ring and she's crying. Can we stop with the crying? Is it really that big a deal? I mean, I don't look if she thinks it was some huge moment, good for her, I guess. But I mean, jeez.
I thought it was pretty crazy. And then Sasha just kicks her out and then does her splits. Like, get the fuck out of my ring, you dork. You know, I mean, that was pretty awesome. So,
I mean, you know, and can we calm down? Oh my god, it's so great to see Kelly and Melina and Michelle McCool and Molly. Was it?
This is what I'm saying. Great? These people are not ever. They were never, and like they're pretending that Melina was a big deal. They're pretending that Michelle McCool, and people are buying this. People, oh my god, Kelly's back. Nobody gives a. Nobody gave a shit about Kelly at any point.
Are we sure that was Kelly? By the way,
it looks like a different human, but yeah, I think it was
different human being. Like she's every time she does one of these, she looks further removed from what she used. She doesn't look. I'm not saying she looks bad. She looks great. She's extremely hot. But she doesn't look like the same human.
Right. She's got different hair color, different body, different everything, different face, different
face. Like it's weird. Like if I booked her and she showed up and I was like, who are you? Oh, I'm Kelly. No, you're not. Like, you're an imposter. When is Kelly? Like, she doesn't even look like the same person. And she's horrendous in the ring. I mean,
so bad. Yeah, and that was really to me the biggest sign of this entire match was there was a lot of people in this ring that just straight up did not belong in a wrestling ring, and that's the regular roster members too that don't belong at all in these ring. But yeah, there was one point that Lita was on the top rope and Charlotte Flair got up there with her, and I was like, oh no, both women that are well known for like fucking things up and injuring themselves. I was like, oh dear God, no, and I forget what they did. It wasn't that bad. But yeah, this is like the talent level was horrific in this match.
Terrible.
Just really bad. I mean, once you got Sasha out of there, which they couldn't wait to get Sasha out for some reason, when she came out, the people in the room were all like, oh, they're going to have her go the whole match because like she's going to be the, connective tissue through everything and she's going to work her ass off and like, she's going to be and gone. See it, bye. Hit the road.
Yeah.
And then there was really not many other stories. I mean, Rhea Ripley came in and threw a bunch of people out. That was, I guess, kind of cool. Bianca Belair, another
she lasted a long time.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. So she didn't win the Rumble match, though, is what I'm seeing. Bianca Belair did not.
No.
So she's going to get a WrestleMania match at some point, I'm sure.
Well, Rich, here's the thing. You have to let it play out.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
You have to let it play out. Right. So we're letting that one play out, too, remember?
Sure. We're a year out now, but yeah, we'll let that play out.
Yeah, we're almost a full year from the 9-second loss, but we're still letting that one play out, too. But to be fair, she wasn't booked like an absolute geek.
No. She was in there for a while and
yeah. And was in the final mix and everything and lasted a long time and didn't get thrown out like a sack of potatoes like Big E.
I think they did I think in the women's Rumble they did a better job of sort of establishing who the four were dominant, who the people that they're kind of pushing or whatever. The geeks got out of there pretty quickly. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the geeks were in and out pretty quick.
Well, that's the other thing. Why are we bringing back all of these people and then they get thrown out in 30 seconds? Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, I don't, and they're not good and they're not stars.
They pretend they are though. And this is the thing, like a lot of the wrestling media will go, oh my God, Michelle McCool, what a moment. And it's like, no, it's not a moment. Stop. Like you're buying what they're selling you that Molly Holly she's been in every one of these fucking Royal Rumbles. Stop. You don't have to pretend this is a big deal.
At least they did something cool with her with the new version of her.
Sure.
That I'll say.
Yeah, that was fun.
A lot of these other ones just like...
Sarah Logan. People pretending that Sarah Logan... Nobody gave a shit about Sarah Logan 6 months ago when she was with the company or a year ago when she was with the company. Yeah. Like, we don't have to pretend that Sarah Logan's a big deal. Like,
when Sarah Logan got cut, people were like, oh, that makes sense.
Right.
You know, like the only person who cares about Sarah Logan is Liv Morgan.
Right,
That's
and then
the
they're
only
doing
person who cares about Sarah.
Riot Squad callbacks. No, that was a year ago, and nobody cared. Like,
Yeah.
people
She
be
was
like, "Oh,
never
what a
over.
moment! Sarah Logan and Liv, in the ring together, reuniting the Riot Squad." Like nobody cares.
They were never over. Sarah Logan was never over, ever. Yeah, I don't know. And the match stunk. I mean, the Bellas came across like stars. I'll say that.
Yeah, for sure.
But hey, they were booked like stars. Funny how that works.
Weird.
They were booked well, and they continued their little story where they eliminate each other from the match. So that was one of the few highlights, I think, was the stuff with the Bellas. And basically, they did the same deal. I mean, Ronda was basically the Brock of this match, except Ronda fucking stinks now.
What was that? She was so bad.
She's terrible.
What happened?
The shits. I don't know.
Can't punch, can't kick, can't move. Yeah, I don't know. It's like
ring rust.
It's like they called her like 2 days prior and said, "Hey, you want to do the Rumble?" And she went, yeah, sure." Like I don't think I'm quite ready, but yeah, sure. Like if she was given any amount of time, and I'm not, the body doesn't, some people are obsessed about the body, and so I don't really give a shit about the body. I care about
I don't even think she looked bad.
No, I know people are like, "Oh my god, like she looks like a mother." I don't know, like I'm not that,
She didn't even look. She just looked like Ronda Rousey.
Right, I didn't get why people were weird about that.
Maybe I'm blind. I don't know, but to me, she looked like she always looks. Now look, she was wearing all black. She was wearing an outfit that like made it seem like she thought she was working.
Yeah, like
Saudi
she didn't have Arabia. enough confidence in her body or whatever. But like regardless,
I think she thought she was working the Saudi Arabia show with that outfit.
Right,
maybe.
right.
But she clearly wasn't. But to me, if people didn't constantly bring up how bad she looked, I never would have thought she.
No,
looked
I
bad.
wouldn't have cared. I cared about how bad she looked work wise because I thought her work was horrendous. And to me, that's what stood out. She came in there and threw some really awful punches, some terrible kicks, like just really wasn't doing anything. And then, yeah, you go to flash forward to Raw, and she is just droning on with this generic promo. Like, good for her. She's getting a bag, and that's, I think, all she cares about. But yeah, this is.
Well, okay, the promo. She was bad. She was horrible in this match. The promo wasn't good, but that's not on her because they're giving her this material, and they're booking a match with all heels. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
They're pretty bad at what they do. So
they're so bad at what they do.
They're not a good company at all.
So
yeah, am I rooting for Ronda? Am I rooting for Becky? Am I rooting for Charlotte? Who am I rooting for?
Yeah, and this is a company that's built on face heel dynamics. This is not 1996 ECW. This is not even AEW where you'll see people on the same, baby faces, baby faces, heels, face heels. This isn't fucking, this is a company which is built on baby face heel dynamics, and they don't bother anyone who's a star in this company. Anyone who is presented as a star in this company is presented as a heel. Do you notice that across the board? Like Roman, all three of these women, like to get a legitimate, real top line push, you have to be a heel. Yeah. Like you just have to be a shithead. Bobby Lashley, whoever it is.
Daniel Bryan figured that out too when he asked to be turned heel.
Yeah. So that they're booing her, but they're like they want to. They're all heels, and the promo wasn't good. Then they're piping in cheers to the promo.
Oh, those were piped in, Joe? I didn't even notice when they turned on the hair dryer that makes the cheering noises.
Yeah, and like she's giving these lines, and then you hear like these crowd pops, but then you look at the crowd and no one's even like it doesn't match the fucking the crowd that you're looking like. It's clear that no one is popping, but you're hearing crowd pops for some of these lines. And this Ronda Rousey thing cannot be off to a worse start in every way imaginable.
Yeah,
she doesn't feel like a star right now at all.
No.
And how is that even possible? It's Ronda Rousey. It's just more booking malpractice because and again, it does not fucking matter. None of it fucking matters. None of it. Because these idiots, they're going to fill that fucking building twice in April anyway. So why does it matter? Doesn't matter what kind of slop you feed them. Feed them all slop. That's what they deserve. You're going to buy tickets to that shit. You deserve the slop.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. You're going to spend $800 for a front row ticket at WrestleMania.
Back-to-back nights to watch this shit. You get what you deserve. Like you know, this is why I take pleasure when the shows are bad.
Yeah. No, I don't want. I'm at a point now where I don't want them to be even like if they were good, that'd be great. Like if WWE was awesome, that would be great. But I don't want them to be a little bit better than this. I want them to continue being bad. You know what I mean? Like, because a little bit better wouldn't be enough. I don't want them to be even mildly competent. If they're going to be fully competent, sure, I'm in. But I kind of enjoy. I kind of enjoy what we have right now. Now that we have the competition in the marketplace, I kind of just want them to be horrifically terrible. Just wake up every day to the make it make sense tweets that just continue to come. So,
yeah.
Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. I thought this stunk. People love this match. I don't know, man. I don't know why people love this thing. Again, we're presenting the Shield like this is like a once in a generation great thing, and I don't know. I never had that affinity for the Shield. I thought the Shield was fine, but you know, we got Seth sticking his fist out, and
this to me was the other match where part of it was okay, but the total package sucked, similar to the Men's Rumble. I thought the first 3/4 of the match was competent pro wrestling, and they were on their way to like a gentleman's 3. And then it just got overbooked and silly, and you know the finish was stupid and everything. So
yeah, it was a lot of drama, a lot of
it's the Roman stuff. It's you know,
I didn't really have any time for this. You've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times. I think I'm just kind of bored of it.
And then with the chair, like the callback spot with the chair attack and everything, and
the bar is so low.
The bar is beneath the earth.
It's just like when he hit Seth, when Seth hit him with the chair when they broke up the Shield. Okay.
Yeah, we know.
Great, dude. Like I get it, man. Like I got it. It's like with the Bray Wyatt stuff. Oh, the reason John Cena's in the NWO shirt is because he's hinting that he never turned heel. I get it, man. I just don't think it's that good. Like, I got it. Like, I don't need you to explain this. Like, it's not that deep of a story, man. I got it.
Well, the thing about it is like twice a year when they choose to remember something, I'm not giving them flowers.
Yeah, right.
Like, all right, so what? And you know this was Seth and Roman's doing.
For sure, yeah.
Vince probably doesn't remember the term.
Oh, God, no. Yeah, he doesn't remember the Shield. He probably remembers the Shield, right?
He's got to remember the Shield. But he doesn't remember the term. Did you see Scotty Too Hottie said that because he recently quit or got fired or whatever, and he said that he doesn't think Vince even remembered him or knew who he was.
I just thought he was Scott Garland, Performance Center coach.
Scott Garland, Performance Center coach. He says he doesn't know for sure, but he doesn't think that Vince even remembered.
Incredible. I love it.
That's crazy. That guy was on TV every week for what, 3 years or whatever?
At least, yeah, from 1990. I mean, he was doing like the Too Hot and Too Cool stuff. Then.
Well, how long was the Rikishi run?
That run started like late 99 through 2001-ish.
That's very memorable.
Yeah, and it was a big. I mean, they were a big time thing. I mean, they were in some huge moments and huge.
They were over
spots.
as fuck.
Right.
I mean, it would be one thing if like Vince didn't remember Jerry Lynn.
Yeah, Salvatore Sincere.
I could buy that.
Tom Brady. He doesn't know Tom Brady. That's fine. I get it.
He's almost 80. If he doesn't remember Damian Demento, I give him a pass.
Right.
How does he not remember Scotty Too Hottie? It's impossible to me that is. But this is a man who fired Jimmy Yang and then asked why they weren't giving him any storylines when he was there visiting friends. So, and the writers had to be like, oh, well, you released him 4 months ago. He doesn't work here anymore. So
he got rehired though, right?
I can't remember.
I think he got rehired on that night.
So the story was they were in like his hometown for Raw.
Yeah.
So he showed up to hang out, and Big Show asked him to help work on some spots or something. So he got in the ring with Big Show and was like working with Big Show. And Vince was like just standing around watching, and he turned to the people he was with and he says, how come Jimmy hasn't been on TV for a while? How come we don't have anything for Jimmy? Get me something for Jimmy. And then they didn't know what to say. And they're like, well, you released him. He's been released for 5 months. He was on the last cut list. And I don't know if I don't remember if they brought him back.
Yeah, I don't remember because there was the Akio run. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then
I don't know the timeline.
Jimmy Wang Yang. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember the
because he did a short Ring of Honor run during.
Yeah. I think it was during that. So if that's true, then he did, I think, get rehired from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
ROH run.
how do you not know Scotty 2 Hotty though? That's why it's so fucking wild to me. Like, and you know when you're talking to someone whether they know you or not. Like
Oh,
you
for
know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah. He knows that he was like, you know that you're talking to Scotty, like that Scotty 2 Hotty is being talked to like he's Scotty 2 Hotty and not Scott Garland, Performance Center coach guy. You know,
You could just feel the energy. Like,
right.
I've worked in companies that were so big where I've met a guy and then I saw him again a year later, some big fucking suit up the ladder, and he shakes my hand and goes, "Oh, Joseph." And it's like, I know you don't remember.
You don't know who I am.
Because number one, you're calling me Joseph because that's what it says on on your phone before you walked in. You looked up my name to see who you were meeting with. You know what I mean? Because nobody calls me Joseph. So that's hint number one. And the other thing is you can feel the energy, like when you know someone remembers you and when they don't, and when they're pretending. So we've all been in that position. So I totally believe him that when he says that he doesn't think Vince knew who he was.
Didn't know. Too Hot Scott Taylor. Oh man, thanks. But,
Joseph, of course.
Yeah.
Great to see you again.
Scott, how you doing, pal? You know, like.
Yeah. And then I'm always like, I haven't been called Joseph since
Right.
since I was like 8. There's, I know you don't know who I am. Like, Anyway, what were we talking about? Seth and Roman.
Yeah,
all right, I'm done with that.
Yeah, who cares? Becky versus Dewdrop.
How shitty was this
so
match?
bad. Yeah, this is the match I mentioned that one of the wives stood up and said, "I'm not coming next year." So
yeah,
and couldn't blame her. She went, "What is this? Why are you watching it? And why is it still going on?" And I went, "I don't know, and I don't know." So
I promise this isn't a bit, but I took a shit in the middle of this match.
I got pizza during this match. Remember how I was saying the pizza match that I was going to do?
Yeah,
I gave this one 10 minutes. No, I gave it 8 minutes, I think. And the pizza was ready. And I was like, nah, I'll see how this goes. And they were still wrestling. I went, fuck this shit. And I went and got the pizza. So
yeah.
And I was back and they were still wrestling. I was like, what the fuck are these people doing? Get out of here. Get out of my ring. Go away.
Awful match. Just
give me Brock and Lashley. Get out of here.
Now, let's be fair. While this is going on, the building's on fire. So the fans were a little distracted.
I forgot about this.
So
the sign. Oh my God. If you need WWE to microcosm, Ronda Rousey points at the WrestleMania sign. It lights on fire. They evacuate a section.
Correct.
Brock Lesnar wins the Royal Rumble, Joe. You think they light that fucking sign up and light it on fire again?
Yes, they do.
You bet your goddamn ass they do.
The building caught on fire 3 times, and they kept relighting that fucking sign because you've got to have them point. If they don't point at that sign,
even if it means death, they could have killed people.
It's like, but if you don't have the wrestlers point at the sign, Rich,
nobody will know what are they fighting for? What are these men fighting for in this Royal Rumble match, Joe?
No
what
one's
are they doing?
gonna know they're going to WrestleMania.
Yeah, Brock will not be going to WrestleMania. His invite they might not find anything for him. They're like, hey, Brock, pal, there's no match for you, man. So you're not going to WrestleMania this year. But we were told by pointing at it that Brock is going to WrestleMania. So
because he pointed.
Yeah.
Why? I hate that they say that. Like,
Brock's going to WrestleMania no matter what. They'll find something for him. I'm sure.
Yeah, they're all going to WrestleMania. Brock didn't need to win that match to go to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'm sure he could find a booking.
Okay? He's not Bob Roode. That I could buy.
Yeah, Bob Roode, he needed that win. He needed that big win. Make sure he was going to be on that card. I don't know if Bob Roode's... I don't know if Madcap Moss, without the win of the Royal Rumble, is going to
correct
go to WrestleMania. But...
Boogs needs to win to go to WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar's going to WrestleMania no matter what. That always bothers me. Yeah. But yeah, they have to have them point. Like, they are so determined.
Melting plastic landing on humans.
Yes.
The sign might fall because it's on fire at this point. They evacuate an arena, a section of the arena, but they goddamn need that point. It's just...
They made the decision to light it up twice more and to catch it on fire twice more.
One time, all right. Whoops. We didn't mean for it. They back to it.
What's the mindset? Like...
They just don't care. They don't care.
What the fuck is wrong with these people?
Sign. Oh my God. Well, at least we had one match that I enjoyed. I don't know if you enjoyed this, but I liked Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar.
It's fine. I mean, I don't know.
It's a nice change of pace. I think that's why I like it the most. The bell rings. They just kick the shit out of each other for a little bit. Sure, a guy went through a barricade. I could have done without that, but
a lot of logic holes in the Roman thing. But I think what happened here was,
well, now we know that all this was supposed to happen at day one and got fucked up.
right.
But the best part about this is instead of just not having Brock Lesnar win your title, if you did not have Brock Lesnar win the title, you could have done everything just perfectly fine. They had to have him win this title because they booked him and they had to make him look strong.
Right.
We had to win the title, but yeah, this was all supposed to happen at day one. This exact angle that happened was supposed to be.
Well, I don't even know if it was this exact. Okay. All right. So here's what you're saying. Roman gets COVID at day one. So they don't know what to do with Brock. They throw him in the match with Big E. So at that point, he has to win the match because you can't have Brock not win.
Right.
Because you have to have Brock as strong as possible. So that fucks up two sets of plans. It fucks up your Brock-Roman plans, and it also fucks up whatever you were going to do. Because Seth was supposed to win that match and win the title, right?
Correct.
Big E.
Yeah.
So it fucked that up.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be Big E, guys. Don't worry. It wasn't. They didn't change out Big E.
No.
His ass was losing no matter what. So
yeah. Let's not get it twisted. Big E didn't get screwed here. He was. Yeah. So, but they fucked up both titles because you had to make Brock look strong. So now I feel like the angle at this show was kind of, who knows if this is how it was supposed to play out. It was probably just supposed to be like, and you're probably saying the same thing, just Heyman turning on Brock when he faced Roman.
Yeah.
Like as simple as that to set right. But they had to stretch it out another 30 days or whatever till they can get Roman on the card. But then, and that also ended up fucking up the other title, which, so now they
none of it matters. It's all for Brock. You know what I mean? Like it's all, again, people trying to figure it out, make it make sense. No, it stopped. It's just the end result needed to be Brock always has to win, and that's what the end result was, and I loved it.
Here's what here. You want me to make it make sense? They don't think Big E is a star. There you go.
There.
That does it make sense now? Okay. You're the fools who believe that they thought that. Now he's back on SmackDown throwing pancakes. That you could have just listened to me the day he won the title. I could have saved you a lot of trouble and made sense of everything for you. So there's the sense. The stars are Brock and Ronda and Goldberg and Shane McMahon. Those are the stars.
Right.
Okay? That's how this works.
God. All right. And then we had Beth and Edge versus Maurice and The Miz. This was the grit couple versus the it couple. I have to admit, this was pretty okay.
I hated this. I thought
you hated it. Okay, go on then. You go, and then I'll give you why I thought. I mean, like when I say it was okay or that I liked it, I don't know. It wasn't like a good match, but I don't know. I thought everybody played their roles pretty well in this. But what did you hate about it?
Worst match on the show, including the Women's Rumble.
Wow, worse than Becky and Dewdrop?
Yes.
I'm not. No.
Way worse. Garbage. Heatless. Nobody cared. I don't know if there was a fire going on during this one or not, but nobody cared about this one either. Minimal effort. Very tropey. It felt like something out of 1992, like with I don't know, with like someone teaming with Sensational Sherry, and then she just like wrestles badly on purpose and lose. It's just, I hated it. I hated everything about this. Sucked. I don't care about Beth Phoenix. I don't care about her cosplaying Luna Vachon. Did nothing for me. Maurice stinks. I don't know. I thought this was the worst match in the show.
Yeah,
this was everything I hate about this company in one 12-minute package.
So it was definitely dumb from that standpoint. It was definitely like, yeah, it was very WWE tropey. I don't know. For some reason, I thought I was going to hate it. Maybe I came in with like bottom of the barrel expectations, but I did think everybody played their roles pretty well. I thought Maurice was okay in this. Like, she's not a good wrestler at all, but I thought she played her role pretty well. I thought Beth didn't really do anything at all. So, other than kind of look mean and like snarl a few times here and there. And other than the Miz and Edge were fine. I don't know. I didn't hate it as much. I thought it was fine. Like, I never want to watch it ever again. But I don't know. I did not hate it as much as you did. I thought it was perfectly fine pro wrestling, and it made sense. The right team won, and I don't know. It didn't overstay its welcome, I don't think either. I mean, I thought Becky and Dewdrop was like 1,000 times worse than this match. So
they're paying Edge $5 million a year, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what he's making?
That's true. Yeah.
It's crazy. Good for him, man.
Great deal. And got his wife a job too. Yeah, that's good for them, man. Good for them.
$5 million. I know it's something like that. If it's not 5, it's like 3. It's a significant.
No, he's doing pretty well for himself.
I think it's like $5 million. to come back to work part-time, do shit like this. I mean, this is a joke. I mean, this was like, he could do this match in his sleep. So he gets to sit on his little stool and do community theater every now and then because he loves to do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
He loves that shit.
Take it to his place that he doesn't want to go to, but he's going to have to.
Yeah, we were spared of that this time around, but I'm sure there's a feud around I'm sure WrestleMania he's going to be taken to that place. I don't know who he's going to wrestle, but I'm sure he'll be high up on the card because he's 50. So
I think what also made this match a little bit more entertaining is the wives of the fans were very impressed by Maurice's ability to stay in her dress or her outfit. So
yes.
That I guess that made it a little bit more fun because every time they took a bump, all the women would go, "Oh, they're going to be out now. I'm sure of it," and they weren't.
Oh, you're talking about her sweater meat?
Yes, yeah, they were out and about.
Giant cans.
And I was like, nah, man, they'd spend a lot of time making sure those things don't move or that those things don't get out. And they were like, no way. And then she did like a back bump and they're like, no, they got to be out now. And I'm like, they're not. They're good. And then they were like, oh, look, she's pulling up on him. They must. So yeah, if you, they were like 2003 message boarders out there.
Very concerned with this. They're waiting for a nip slip.
Yeah, they really want to post on the message board about a nip slip. So yeah, they're really hoping that Jackie Gate nip slip gets posted as soon as possible. So
they were checking Mr. Skin for screenshots.
Right? I know. I was like, man, this is a weird crew.
Charlotte's titty popped out. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Her titty popped out.
Where were these women? They didn't say anything about that.
It was all bruised up too, I guess from taking chops. But her bruised titty was popping out.
Oh, there you go.
I saw a little areola. As a
Okay.
matter of fact.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would also like to report the nurses still have the hots for Liv Morgan.
Well,
I didn't tell her. I didn't tell her it was the same girl.
Oh.
But she came out and went, "Whoa, who's that one?" I said,
wow.
you said the same thing about her. And I said, that's the same. And she goes, "Oh, she's the Italian one, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And she got, "I guess I like Italian chicks. She's hot as hell." So I was like, all right. So that was, they still got the hots for Liv. Yeah. So
traditional Italian name, Morgan.
Right. Liv Morgan. Yeah. We did explain what her real name was. And she was, she didn't love it, actually. I think she liked Liv Morgan a little bit more.
Daddy-o?
Yeah.
How about, you're gift wrapped a super hot blonde named Barbie Blank and you rename her Kelly Kelly. How does that happen?
They're not very good, Joe, at anything.
And like her gimmick is that she's dumb on top of it. So
right.
Barbie Blank would be perfect.
Yeah, I know. That always annoyed me that her gimmick was that she was dumb, so they named her Kelly Kelly because like she didn't know that she like how to say her name. Or she just like said it twice. Remember, they're like, "What's your name, Kelly?" And then they're like, "What's your name?" She's like, "Kelly," and they're like, "Kelly, Kelly." All right,
that's the idea. Like she's stupid.
Yeah, but Barbie Blank is a great name. Barbie Blank.
It
gift wrapped.
You couldn't.
She's a Barbie and her head's blank. It's perfect.
And she looks and is shaped like Barbie.
I know. They're so bad at everything, man. It's unbelievable.
It was handed to you. What are we doing?
Can't do anything.
And then you make her gimmick dumb anyway. Like, what are we doing?
Well, that was the Royal Rumble. Do we have to watch WWE shows anymore?
We have to watch them. We gotta watch them. I don't want to. I mean,
I'm not watching this Saudi Elimination Chamber thing. I'm not doing that.
I will watch that.
Yeah,
those are
you do that. Yeah. That's your favorite thing.
Because all right, the last one wasn't as bad as the others.
No, the last one was actually a legitimately good show.
I can't even remember. I know it wasn't awful, but they're usually like the worst shows of the year. And there's usually like there was the one where nobody gave a fuck and they put in zero effort, so that it was fun to watch from that standpoint.
Yeah, that was either before or after they got stranded.
Yeah,
they got kidnapped and not allowed to leave. So
wasn't that Greatest Royal Rumble when they got kidnapped?
Yes, yeah. It was.
Carl Anderson was on that plane and he was in the Greatest Royal Rumble. I don't think he was. Yeah, so with the big green Greatest Royal Rumble belt.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Which they haven't brought
Which
back.
they did. So weirdly, they started including that Royal Rumble in all the Royal Rumble stats. This year they didn't. They took it out.
Oh.
Which is good. I did not like that they were in the Royal Rumble stats because I don't think that counts as a Royal Rumble. Even if it is the greatest Royal Rumble, I didn't like that it was counted.
You know what? If I cared about their history anymore, I might be. But at this point, I don't give a fuck what they do. You know what I mean? Like I used to care about this kind of stuff. But it's hard for me to care anymore. Count them all. Speaking of which, Voice of Wrestling Patreon. It's the start of the month, Rich. It's the best time to subscribe. There's a $5 tier. There's a $10 tier. Tons of content, including this week's match of the week, which was a 1994 house show Royal Rumble from Madison Square Garden. So you can talk about that match behind our paywall. You can talk about that match on our Discord, in our private rooms on the Discord for subscribers only, including the match of the week room. There's some great discussions about that Royal Rumble. There's all kinds of content.
Yeah, it's a really fun match for people that haven't seen it. Definitely worth checking it out. And like, you can find the match even if you're not a subscriber, but the discussion, which is I think half the point. Like the match itself is a match. You know what I mean? It's whatever. Every time you post that thing, it's a match. But it's all about, like, there's usually a theme to the match. There's a reason why you're choosing the match that you're choosing.
I try to do themes.
Right. There's a wrestler theme. There's a show, a match storyline theme. There's a time of the year theme. There's usually a reason why the match is the week, and that makes for interesting discussions. And this one was really fun, as people were saying, oh, hey, I just watched the 1994 Royal Rumble, and like, it's kind of weird. I saw this that was similar, and that was similar, and this, and it's because this one was kind of weirdly a dress rehearsal. So you see some things, but then you also see some things, and there's one thing that's glaring. It's, who wins this thing. I'm not going to spoil it for people that haven't seen it, but it's who wins this thing that's so weird, because it's like, wait a minute, that's not at all what's going to happen at the actual Royal Rumble. But yeah, it makes for a lot of fun, because there are a few spots that come during that Rumble, this MSG Rumble, that are like exactly like they would be in the 94 Rumble, and there's a lot of the same guys and the same wrestlers, but some differences as well that make it pretty fun to watch.
Couple new Big Egg Scramblers up this week as well.
Yes, the story of the Hurricane Dennis Lane. If you have not, I think all the Big Egg Scramblers are solid, but Big Egg Scrambler number 6, cracked, is Shinya Hashimoto versus the Hurricane Dennis Lane from New Japan Tokyo Dome. I believe it was 1998 was the year. The match is, I don't know, about 27 seconds or so. It doesn't last very long. Things go pretty poorly for the Hurricane Dennis Lane. And there's not a whole lot to talk about with the match, but I discovered some amazing stories about the Hurricane Dennis Lane. At one point, I was not sure that he, and I messaged you about this as well, because in my research of Dennis Lane, I found a Dennis Lane from the region that the Dennis Lane is from that got arrested for raping dead bodies. This is not the same Dennis Lane, though, thankfully. Different Dennis Lane. Thank God. This Dennis Lane, though, I did find some fun stories, because raping dead bodies, not that fun. Dennis Lane going to a minor league hockey team and beating the fuck out of all the coaches and all the players, that is fun. And that does happen in this episode of the Big Egg Scrambler. So all about how he motivates a minor league hockey team. It is essentially just a Danny McBride plot, this entire show.
Yeah.
It's just the idea that, like, this minor league hockey coach is like, I got to toughen these guys up. He finds a local, like, champion kickboxer, has him come in, and then literally this kickboxer just beats the fuck out of everybody for like hours on end to toughen them up. And yeah, does it work? Do they make a miraculous playoff run? You'll find out in Big X Scrambler number 6. Also, the Yes Movement, new episode of the Yes Movement coming out in the next few days. I have all the notes ready to go. Just have to sit down and record it. It is an infuriating, and Joe, you and I lived through this. We talked about it. We did shows about it. It is the infuriating fall of 2013 for Daniel Bryan. He wins at SummerSlam. He's screwed over immediately by the Authority. And then he wins the title. Wait, no, he doesn't. Big Show comes out. He punches everybody. That's the end of that pay-per-view. Shawn Michaels screws him over. He does the Wyatt stuff. It's all that we're going to cover. Breaking the narrative that this was all the plan all along. WrestleMania 30, the Miracle on Bourbon Street. It's a lie. They had nothing to do with this guy. I got his book. I got excerpts from the book. I got his audiobooks. So you're going to actually hear from Daniel Bryan reading his audiobook about how all this got fucked up royally in the fall of 2013. So the Yes Movement, this is the episode to listen to. This is always the one that I recommend from the beginning of the series. This is going to be the fun one. This is the one we're going to break a lot of the narratives that dumb people, dumb wrestling media will tell you about the Daniel Bryan story. This is the episode we're going to break all that.
NFL Intelligentsia, as we continue our march to the NFL playoffs, we will have a Super Bowl preview, conference title game review episode coming out sometime next week with myself and Jesse Collins. Go Rams. Thursday TV reviews every Thursday with the Impact review. Not Impact. With the Dynamite review.
You're reviewing Impact now, huh? All right, cool.
Well, I used to, but no, not anymore. But who knows? Maybe I'll bring MLW back. Maybe I'll slip Impact in there. Who knows? But Thursday TV reviews every week. Always Dynamite. Always the ratings breakdowns. Those are always guaranteed. There are new written reviews up behind the paywall that went up a couple of days ago. Lanza reviews 5 matches. The written content is on the $10 tier along with all of the live content, including the live flagship, which you can listen to live every Thursday night, mostly on Thursdays. And any other live content we do along with the written content, that's on the $10 tier. So I've got reviews of 5 matches up last week. Deonna Purrazzo versus Roxy. Alex Shelley versus AC Mack, which we talked about last week. Eddie Kingston versus Gabe Kidd, which I thought was a match of the year level match. Walter versus Roderick Strong. That's the match where he became Gunther. And Walter versus Nathan Fraser. Remember Nathan Fraser, Rich?
I do. Yes, I remember.
Remember Ben Carter?
I do remember
Ben Carter, Rich.
Surprising, great rookie Ben Carter. Yeah, it's fortunate he retired so early. But apparently he didn't retire. You're saying that you reviewed a match of his.
Still great. Still great.
Huh.
Yeah, crazy. But those 5 matches reviewed behind the paywall in the latest batch of reviews. So we've been pumping out a ton of content. And this is the best time to subscribe. First week of the month, you get the full value. So I recommend anybody who's been on the fence or waiting around to subscribe, hop in now.
Yeah, ton of stuff up there right now. Flagship patreon.com, patreon.com/voiceswrestling or voiceswrestling.com/Patreon to do that. All right, let's get into real quickly here. I just had a brief topic I wanted to talk about because I was watching Dynamite last night. MJF, CM Punk going out there having an awesome match, just another great Dynamite match. And I'm looking online, I'm looking on our Discord and stuff, and this match is happening, and I think this match rocked. So first off, I didn't listen to your Thursday Tea reviews this week. I'm sorry, you released them and then we did the show. Did you think that match was good, Joe?
MJF Punk?
Yes.
Is that the match you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, shit ton of fun. Yeah.
Great match. Fantastic match. Okay, I just want to make sure
no doubt
before
about it.
the whole premise of, and then you're like, Rich, I hate that match. That match sucked. You know what I mean? Like, okay, premise is good. I like the match. You like the match. I'm watching this. I'm going, man, this is incredible. This is really, really good stuff.
Classic pro wrestling.
Yeah, just pro wrestling 101. I've said this for a year and a half now. AEW, the thing I love most about AEW is that they're unabashedly a pro wrestling company. They're wrestling. That's what they do. They do wrestling. They produce a wrestling show. They have wrestling matches. It seems simple. It seems basic, but they, at the end of the day, are a wrestling company, and they're not ashamed to be a wrestling company. That, to me, makes them stand out a lot. And what was awesome, I'm watching this match. I'm watching MJF and Punk or whatever, and maybe this is my fault for doing this or getting upset about this or whatever, but, I go onto our Discord or I look, I scroll on Twitter real quick for some stupid reason. I should know better, but I'm seeing this match happen. And I'm seeing people still discussing the Brandy segment earlier, and Dan Lambert, and how, and then like little stuff earlier in the show that they're complaining about or getting mad about or whatever. And I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, this company produces more good TV wrestling than any other American company has in decades, probably ever. I think I could say ever, because I used to use this qualifier, acting like I needed to like qualify for Nitros or 2013 WWE or whatever. No. This company delivers so many great TV wrestling matches that I don't understand why people, because every week there's this like, they did this one thing in 5 minutes that I didn't like. I don't know, and everybody's just so hung up on the littlest things about every single week of Dynamite and nitpicking the dumbest little shit. Brandy and Dan Lambert, that segment sucked. It was stupid. It was dumb. It didn't work. Fine. While Punk and MJF are out there having a great wrestling match, like an all-time great TV wrestling match, I don't give a shit that Brandy had a bad segment an hour and 45 minutes ago. Who gives a shit about this stuff? And people are so obsessed with the little things, the minute little details in AEW that don't work, that I feel like we're just ignoring what does work in AEW and what does work for Dynamite, which is very often they have 2 good wrestlers go out there and have great wrestling matches. Or sometimes they have 2 tag teams go out there and have great wrestling matches. Joe, of cage matches, 15 AEW matches with 9+ ratings. This is on cagematch.net. AEW has 15 matches with a 9+ rating. Mm-hmm. 9 of them have been TV matches.
Yeah.
The majority of great AEW matches have occurred on TV.
Yeah, we've talked about how sometimes their pay-per-views are letdowns. Now they had the one all-time great pay-per-view, but a lot of their pay-per-views sometimes, are hit or miss.
Right, because they're producing like really good TV wrestling, and on one side you obviously have like your dumb Jimmy Corderas and stuff being like, you gotta save the big matches for pay-per-view. It's like, you get a fucking picture of what the wrestling business is, man. Read their fucking contract, like get a handle on these things for 10 seconds, man. Like just try to understand the wrestling business.
Yeah,
I dare you, but they can't.
Jimmy Corderas is also the only guy in the universe who didn't like the Hook debut.
Yeah, wanted him to sell more, right?
Yes,
and sell enough for Serpentico or whatever.
His complaint was he needed to find the hard cam.
Oh, that's right, the hard cam. Yeah,
I don't even know what that means. Find the hard cam. And his other complaint was, and we don't know whether the kid can sell. That's what he said the night of the Hook debut. So that's who we're dealing with.
Yeah, that's what you take away from the Hook debut is where's the hard cam and learn how to sell kids.
And we wanted to see Hook take a beatdown is what we wanted to see.
We wanted the year and a half hype of Hook for him to just get beaten down by, it was Serpentico, right? I even forget who he was against. They're 10. He was against 10, right?
His debut was against, no, he didn't wrestle 10. He hasn't wrestled 10. He wrestled, and it wasn't Serpentico. The Hook debut, it wasn't the Bear.
Was it Fuego?
No, it wasn't. Was it Fuego?
I think it might have been Fuego. No,
it wasn't the Bear Country guy. That was his second match.
No.
Someone will say it in the chat room in a second. Waiting on the chat room. Help us out.
Fuego. It was Fuego del Sol. I figured it out.
Was Fuego?
Figured it out before these dopes. Don't. And I know we're gonna get 20 people. I got it. They're not gonna hear. It's on a delay.
Here they come. Here come all the Fuegos.
There it is. 27 people.
Here they come.
It's Fuego. All right. Yeah. But yeah, like, so it's just I don't really know if I have like a grand thing that I wanted to do with this segment. It was just, it caught me by surprise that like it's one of these like can't see the forest from the trees type of thing where like every week people are just nitpicking these little dumb segments, and I'm like, man, like, you were just not appreciating what we're getting right now. You were not appreciating the run of great TV wrestling that we are getting. No other company ever has presented such great TV wrestling that we're seeing here. I mean, there's some great, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff I love on Nitros. But a lot of those are like 7-minute really good Dean Malenko matches. You know what I mean? Like 6 minutes really cool Rey Mysterio Psychosis matches or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we're getting 45 minutes. We got two Paige and Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson matches. We got Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega on television.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
Paige and Omega versus Penta and Phoenix. We had the parking lot fight. Brian Kingston. Dark Order Inner Circle, like,
and on your little list you made, you forgot to include Brian.
Right, I had 8 originally because I forgot that the best one that they had, which was Paige and Kenny Omega, because I think I read through the list and my brain went to, oh, that wasn't on TV, that had to be on pay-per-view. No, that was on TV.
Yeah, I think what people forget about Nitro is, like you said, you had a lot of cool matches that were good matches, but Dynamite gives you match of the year contenders.
Yeah,
on TV.
You weren't getting that on TV. You were not getting that on Nitro. Nitro would give you a really good hour one Rey Mysterio, versus X match that was pretty damn cool and pretty fun.
Cruiserweights and Lucha.
Yeah, and there was some cool shit. Yeah. Main events were garbage. They were 10 minutes of and everybody just looking to the back to see who was going to run in, and then usually an NWO member would run in, and then it'd be a disqualification. You weren't getting that on Nitro. There's this rose-colored glasses of Nitro, and I used to use this qualifier. Oh, well, it's been many, many decades. No, it's ever for I mean, you were not getting. You got to go back to. I mean, what do you have to go back to even find anything in this universe? I mean, you got to go to territorial television anyway, and even then, I don't think you're quite there. 605, like the great run of NWA 605, the main events were usually pretty damn good, but we're talking like an 11-minute really good Ric Flair match. Clash of the again, go to the 1 or 2 Clash of the Champion matches that people are going to bring up too. Like, okay.
But then you had Steve Williams versus the Italian Stallion.
Right, yeah, exactly. This is, I mean, you just casually on this episode of Dynamite, they just put out CM Punk versus MJF, which could easily be a top pay-per-view match. Then they just let those guys go out there for, 40 minutes?
Yeah.
And have a great television wrestling, just a great wrestling match. I don't even use the qualifier television wrestling match. I don't even have to use that qualifier because they give these guys like 5 fucking segments. They gave Bryan and Omega.
They gave them 3 segments, yeah.
Right. Like it's not even
3/4 hours.
It's not TV wrestling. It's just wrestling. It's just you can tune your TV to TBS or TNT every Wednesday, and there's a pretty goddamn good chance you're going to get a great professional wrestling match on that night. That has never occurred, ever.
You're probably right. I'm thinking about it, and Dynamite.
Raw 2013 maybe is the. I mean, there was a little period there where Punk and Bryan and the six mans were all really good, and okay, sure, that lasted.
What about the SmackDown 6 era?
Yeah, that stuff was pretty good, but
did it peak this high?
No,
I don't think it did.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It's just it's I don't know. It's just it motivated. I put this on my list last night as I'm watching that, going, what are these people? Shut up about Brandy and Dan Lambert. Who cares? An hour and 45 minutes ago. I don't care. We're still doing this TNA thing where we're worried that this company is going to sink any day now. Oh, one mistake and this whole thing's done. No, like we got to stop that. It's not. No.
They're here. They're here. They're not going anywhere. I mean, that's obvious at this point. They're a success. I mean, that can't be argued against. I know this isn't your point. I thought the Brandy Dan Lambert segment was a home run. I thought that was great.
I think you're the one.
Maybe, but I mean, when I watch a segment,
you and Brandy, you're the two. I think that thought that segment was good.
Okay, how many people were in the building though? Because all those people too. Because when you have a segment that's the hottest segment on the show until Punk comes out, where every single person in the building is invested in it and red hot. I mean, I thought that segment ruled. I mean, and then you bring Paige Van Zandt back, who, if you can find a way to keep her for good, is
my God,
money.
That's another,
She is money. So, I mean, I thought that segment was great. I mean, the fans were shitting on Brandy in all the right ways, and they couldn't break her. Lambert, for whatever reason, this crowd thought he was like the funniest stand-up comic on earth. They were popping for all of his lines. And he is very funny, to be honest. Then they bring out Van Zandt. So they're riffing on each other. I thought the lines were great. The Josh Alexander line was great. The shit that Lambert was throwing at Brandy was great. And the crowd was like red hot for the whole thing. Like, they're always hot for Lambert. Like, there's been one or two crowds that weren't. And otherwise, Lambert's a home run every time. Like, he's great. Brandy, they love the shit on her, and it's like this fine line. There's go away heat, and then there's we're having fun shitting on you, and it's we're having fun shitting on you when it comes to last night anyway. Some crowds want nothing to do with her.
Right. Yeah. Last night they were in on the joke or whatever.
Yes.
They were in
last night they were having fun shitting on Brandy Rhodes. They're like, you know what? Fuck her. We're gonna make her life hell. And then Lambert was leaning into it. I enjoyed that segment. I thought it was great. I thought that back to back with the Danielson segment was great stuff. And I talked about it at length behind the paywall if people want to hear more detailed thoughts on Van Zandt too, who I think, I mean, God, if I were Tony Khan, I would do whatever it took.
Oh, I might put a blank check in front of her and say, write a number down. We just need you here.
Now, I think she's independently wealthy with her Instagram shit. Fucking...
As a follower, I could see why, for sure. I'll tell you that, Joe.
Yeah, so it's like,
I'm not usually a over-the-top horny guy, but she's got great content on that Instagram, I'll tell you that. So
I don't think she's like hurting for money or anything.
No, I think she's okay.
But I mean, you can't fight forever. So it's like the way that she looks.
Oh, she just gets it too. Like it just,
and she gets it.
Yeah, that it factor that sometimes impossible to explain it factor. She's got it in spades. She's got it times 1,000.
Yeah, and I mean, and just look at her. She just pops off the screen. The only thing that could stop her is if she happens to be terrible at wrestling. Now we know she's a great athlete. It may not translate. It doesn't always translate, but that gives her a leg up. If she's good at wrestling, if she's competent at wrestling,
forget it, yeah.
I mean, Jade Cargill sucks, and she's a star. So if Van Zandt is good or competent, not even good, if Van Zandt is just competent, they're going to have another one on their hands. I mean, Jade Cargill now pops every quarter hour she's on.
Oh, yeah. She's become a huge star.
Yeah, and she can't work at all.
She can't wrestle a lick at all.
But she's getting a little
look
better.
At her. Yeah, look at her in the presence.
Well, look at her.
It's it, and it's look at her. Yeah, it's
just look at her. I mean, she could that
it's cosmetic business, Joe. It's unbelievable that it's people like people that look.
So anyway, I don't mind being on Island. I thought that segment ruled.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I like that. I like when wrestlers troll each other. I like that inside shit. You know that. Like, I like that. A lot of people are like, oh, stop appealing to me. No, appeal to me. I like when you appeal to me, the newsletter reader. I like that shit. Like, I don't like when wrestling dumbs it down for the stupid people.
Right. Nobody knows who Josh Alexander is. What's going on?
No, I know who he is. So
My brain is turning to goop. Like, fucking who cares? Figure it out, man.
Right. Like, I know who he is, so I liked it.
Yeah,
I don't care if some mouth breather doesn't know who he is. Like, the
Figure it out.
sentiment
He's one of the
works
greatest
for me.
wrestlers in the world. Figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love insult comedy. I love cheap heat. Like, those things all appeal to me. I've never complained about cheap heat in my life. I think every heel should rip on the local sports team. That shit is funny. I love it. I love that shit. But yeah, so anyway, I know that wasn't your point. I didn't mean to derail you. I didn't even expect it to go this long. But I think we went into some interesting territory with Paige Van Zant and Cargill. But yeah, your larger point here is correct. I'm thinking about this, and you're probably right in that Dynamite, pound for pound, has given wrestling fans more great matches than any other show during any other, like, 3-year period.
I mean, you're not going to get another show that's going to give you like 40 minutes of guys that just go out there and wrestle. You know what I mean? Like, and they're doing that pretty regularly. They're giving you 30 minutes, multiple segments of things. I mean, I reviewed it in the CM Punk Best in the World series, flagshippatreon.com, where, you know, there was that 2013 CM Punk versus John Cena Raw match, and it went through like 3 different segments, and it was like, holy crap, and it was like the best Raw match in history and like one of the greatest TV wrestling matches ever, and it rocks. It's really, really good, but that was the exception of the rule. That was this one-time thing that they did, and that's what made it so memorable, and that's what made it such a, oh my god, they just let this match go, and they just let these guys wrestle for you know, 3 segments. And we had that a little bit a couple years ago. Remember the Seth Rollins did the gauntlet match thing, and people lost their fucking minds because they just wrestled for 45 minutes, and they just don't, no other TV wrestling does that. No other TV wrestling has the balls to just let guys go out there and wrestle. They're so worried about, people, no one's, they want a variety show. They need comedy. They need action. They need, no, just some people just like wrestling. And again, AEW is not afraid to just be wrestling. And it just blows my mind that people worry about all the littlest things and not just that, I hate to say just like sit and enjoy it or shut up and enjoy it, but like just understand what this company is doing right now. Is just on a different level than any other company has ever presented. And they're really, really good matches. There's a lot of really good matches that you're getting for free on television. All you have to do is turn your TV on, you know, from 7 to 9 p.m. Central or 8 to 10 Eastern or whatever on TBS and TNT, and you're going to get some pretty good stuff. And like, that has not been the case in TV wrestling in America for really ever. And I think it's getting underappreciated in a lot of ways.
They've cut down on the run-ins and interference a little. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Now look, MJF cheated to beat Punk, but we've discussed this. MJF should cheat every time.
Yeah.
That's just,
well, it's going to build to that one moment that, like, you know, or it'll be Wardlow either doesn't give him the ring, or he's about to do the ring and then it falls off and it lands outside and he can't get to it and he's got to make a look. You know, it's all building to that one moment where he can't use the ring.
He actually beat Punk twice. That's kind of risky, but I thought it all worked, and I think that when Punk finally beats MJF, whether that could be the pay-per-view, it could be 6 months from now, it could be 2 years from now. But when Punk finally beats MJF, which is now another long-term story they have in their back pocket, it'll be in Chicago. And it'll be a massive fucking celebration and all of that. So, but outside of that, I mean, even Nyla Rose, when she beat Ruby, did it clean. She countered the way Ruby beat her last time and held on to the top rope, then did that senton and that fucking power bomb and beat her clean in the middle. So they didn't even do any Vicky bullshit. Black spit the mist in Penta's face. So you want to call that, but again, no run-in or anything. Mox just beat Yuta. And I think that there was only 4 matches. So,
I never thought we were going to get 95 All Japan, though. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree. It's still American
a lot of people
television
have
wrestling.
that idea, and like, I don't know that they ever said that. They probably overpromised on the lack of bullshit they were going to have, but there is still some. But like, again, it doesn't, like, I'm not going to be like, oh man, I can't believe, you know, Malachi Black used interference to win his match. I don't know if I can enjoy the CM Punk MJF match.
There are definitely weeks where there's too much of it.
Sure, for sure. There's weeks that it doesn't work all that way. I mean, there's weeks where the show's not that good. Like, that happens. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
not gonna be 100% good, but god damn, it's mostly pretty fucking good.
No, yeah, we're pretty lucky to have it. I mean, I've said this before, but like, especially during the heart of the pandemic, but try to picture wrestling since the pandemic started without, if AEW didn't exist.
Right.
It's a rough scene. It is a rough scene. Wrestling since the pandemic, if AEW didn't exist. You have New Japan, which is impossible to watch. WWE, which is it's worse than it's ever been in its history. Game Changer, which is the fucking shits. What is there? I mean, it's a rough scene. So, and you're right. The more I look at this, you're right. I mean, that's a lot of great. I mean, fuck. Within
High
the
level.
span of a month, those two Hangman Page Bryan Danielson matches in the span of a month. Danielson on TV alone, the two Hangman Page matches, the Omega match, the Suzuki match. Well, that was on YouTube. Wasn't it on YouTube, the Suzuki match? Yeah, it was.
That was a YouTube one, but I'm still kind of counting that as a pseudo TV match because again,
sure.
it's
free and available. Right. You're not paying for it.
But if you want to take that one away, fine. Take that one away.
Match.
Yeah.
You know, it's like him alone. You know, all those Young Buck matches on TV. I mean, yeah, it's just. I think you're right. That would upset a lot of people, but it's the truth. I mean, they've given the best television wrestling, you know, maybe ever for a television show on a consistent, you know, match for match basis. All things being equal, however you want to phrase it, you know, because the show's only existed 3 years or whatever. Isn't even 3 years yet. It's more like
it was right around there.
2.5. Oh, almost 3. Is it 3 years yet? It's 19.
It would have been
2.5 years or something.
Yeah.
November 19 or something. The end of 2019 they started. October, whatever it was. So, no, you make a good point. I guess this is something we've been doing every week now because they don't come out in time for the reviews, but the quarter hours, there's really not much to talk about with this week's quarter hours. It was basically quarter hour 1 was the highest because of the lead-in, and then it was basically a straight line. So there's really nothing interesting from that standpoint. I thought it was and I'm having trouble finding it now. I thought it was a bad rating or a disappointing rating. I don't know if I'd go as far as bad, but I thought the rating was disappointing. The 0.35 for they built up this Punk MJF match for.
Yeah, right. I thought it'd be a little bit better.
So you can't call that a good number. I mean, it was not a good number. From that standpoint. Now, the show, basically the demo and the total viewers were essentially a straight line. Now, when the MJF Punk match started, it grew throughout for all 3 quarter hours. So that's a good sign. People were interested in the match and who's going to win it. They just had less viewers, both overall and in the demo, than they've had. They had I don't think people realized that Dynamite had a monster January from a rating standpoint. I mean, they just crushed it. Monster double-digit growth year over year. They crushed all the other shows in growth. So February to 0.35. I mean, especially with that big match, South Park is back and all that, but I don't want to hear that. I mean, South Park was back and there was a soccer game which did well, the U.S. men's team. But if it was a standard issue Dynamite, I'd say okay, that's reasonable. But this had Punk MJF on.
Yeah, right. That's a big deal. Yeah.
I can't give him a pass for that. The match should have done better than 0.35 and a shade under 1 million viewers. But there's really nothing else to me. There's no other big takeaways from these quarter hours because, like I said, it was basically a straight line. One thing I noticed, and I talked about this behind the paywall a bit, they're not loading up the top of the hour anymore. They're not really doing that anymore. For instance, on this show, the Nyla Rose Ruby Soho match ran across the top of the hour. It started before and it ended after. And that's not a big time drawing match. And they've done that a lot lately, where if you remember the early days of Dynamite, there would always be that was the Chris Jericho spot. They would
they put Jericho there every single week, basically.
Yeah. Inner Circle would come out at the top of the hour and Jericho would pop a quarter. And they don't really concentrate. I don't know what internal metrics they have, or maybe they don't feel like that's as important as they used to. But they've been dumping stuff that you wouldn't expect it at the top of the hour. And this week was a good example. And that Nyla Rose Ruby Soho match was the bottom point in the demo, which was to be expected, obviously. And it was almost but not quite the bottom point in total viewership as well. And that's top of the hour. And they used to stack the top of the hour. And that really hasn't been the case over the last couple months. So that's something I've been noticing as well. But other than that, women 18 to 49, they didn't respond to the main event, but men did. Which makes sense too.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Punk has always been a guy that dudes love Punk, women not so much.
Punk and MJF,
except women in wrestling seem to really love CM Punk. But
I think Punk MJF is a dude match.
It's a dude match for sure. Yeah,
that's a dude match. That's not
That's a wrestling fan match for sure.
Yeah, so that actually kind of makes sense to me. But this is kind of a weird one. Like the older half of the female 18 to 49 did shoot up for the finish of the Punk MJF match. Could that be because older women are attracted to Punk? I know we're digging deep here, but I mean,
I guess, yeah.
He's in his 40s, like you know, so it would make sense that like women 35 and up might be horny for him, right? More so than younger women would think he's too old for them. Like,
yeah, he's kind of he's a weird looking dude too. I get it. I totally get it. He is the type of guy that like anytime I've ever watched with like other women, they either think he's like the hottest dude in the world or the ugliest dude in the world with like no in between.
I'm gonna ask TLB. I don't think I've ever asked her about Punk.
The nurse thinks he's the most disgusting human being on earth. Like,
she thinks he's gross.
Yeah.
TLB is into like a hint of gray, like in a beard.
Oh, okay, yeah. This current CM Punk might be it for her then. Yeah, he looks like a distinguished fella now. So
she likes the hint of gray,
the touch of gray. Okay,
and she likes facial hair, and but she's weird about it. It has to be like 2 days growth of facial hair. If you have a big beard, she doesn't like it.
How you doing, TLB? That's me all day. I got a little gray in my 2-day-old beard, so yeah.
You know what? I have to know if she's in the other room.
Yeah, let's do this now. We can wait for RevPro.
Let's see. She's next to her. The furniture finally arrived for the 4TV den, which
have you been sitting on a floor?
No, we've had just like a cheap futon in there.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't comfortable, obviously. It was just something to hold us over. Rich,
for 9 months. Right, yeah.
Rich, I got those TVs during baseball season. And we ordered the furniture, and like the shit didn't come until yesterday.
Yeah, my buddy moved into an apartment and didn't have furniture in it for 5 months. So I was like, "Can I see your new place?" He's like, "We can literally sit on the floor. I don't have anything. I walk in, I go to my bed. I don't do anything." So eventually, he did get it. So I've gone to his.
This will take 10 seconds. Let me see if she's in the room.
Yeah. Joe going to check on the TLB. Just want to say, if she likes a little stubble with some gray in the beard, then you know. That's me. I'm just saying. Okay. I don't know if Joe's got any facial hair, to be honest. I think I might have more gray than Joe does. So. Anyway.
All right, so I asked her to come in real quick because we want to ask her if she would bang this guy, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I love that."
I'm gonna send a picture of myself over and then get the assessment. I'm just kidding.
Let's see what she does. Here she comes. So I just did a basic Google image search.
So you just did CM Punk on Google. I'm trying to see maybe what
everyone could look at the same pictures.
Okay.
All right, so we want to know if you would bang this guy. Now, give it some thought. Don't just, and I'll pull up. Okay. All right, so this is pro wrestler CM Punk. Here's a nice picture of him smiling. What else you want to see? You see anything else you like here? Anything you want to enlarge? You know this one? Okay.
Okay, like here's
you want to see this one? Okay. He's more well groomed than usual there, I would say.
I like him well groomed.
You like him well groomed?
Better than when he's all not groomed.
So you think he looks skanky looking in some of these?
Okay, a couple of them he looks like a smoker at a bar.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Looking a little grungy, but like maybe on a night where I'm liquored up.
I
could take it.
Yeah.
But he's not I don't know.
So, all right.
I mean,
she's trying to say yeah, but we don't care. She could just say no. It's fine.
So hold on. Say what you just said. The truth is
I would bang him.
The truth is you would bang him.
Okay.
Yeah. But okay, but you
not be happy about it. Clearly,
I'm not gonna marry him.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it. It's like
He's no JL, is what you're saying. I mean, that's what you're saying. I mean,
Babe, come on now. No,
Yeah.
you.
Wow.
Now,
But I mean, he looks,
so this is a guy. I think I could phrase this.
Okay.
This is a guy you would bang, but it's not someone you would pursue hard.
No, this person's coming to me, and I might let him have it.
Depending on the night.
Right.
And if it's also possible, okay, is this fair to say? If he did pursue you in a bar, you might say no, depending on your mood.
Right.
Right. So it could go either way if he pursued you.
Yeah. I mean, pictures are difficult. I mean, like some pictures and like, oh yeah, yes.
What about these prison tattoos? You into that?
Do you really want to know about that?
You kind of like that, don't you?
I don't mind the tattoos.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind them. They're
Right.
not like, oh my God, stay away, you have tattoos, or like, come here, you have tattoos. You know what I mean? I'm kind of neutral.
Yeah, you're kind of neutral all the way
And
on
they're
this.
not bad. That's actually pretty good work. So I wouldn't call that prison tat.
I got you. So
That's not.
It is good. He does have very good. That is the one
I
thing
was
that's
unfair
nerves.
about the tattoos.
Yeah.
They're not like cutting open your skin and using pen ink.
And in this picture, that he looks very cute in that one.
This one's probably from like 2013.
Yeah, he's like way younger in that one.
For the benefit of the listeners, she's looking at like prime WWE CM Punk.
Oh yeah, he's in like perfect shape at that time. He's getting
He's
sleep.
in the best shape of his life. He doesn't have any gray yet.
Smirk on his,
But you kind of like the gray.
I love the gray.
What'd I tell you? She loves the gray.
I'm
Loves the hint
saying
of
I gotta
gray.
send a picture of me over. He's in the great stubble.
All right. Well, that was very helpful.
That was good.
Curious
That was
about
good.
I can help out. I'm gonna go lounge.
Okay. I'll see you later. All right. So there you go. There was TLC take on CM Punk.
Yeah. So what we've reached now is the thing though is CM Punk's got like all-time game.
Yeah.
So he's locking this down for sure. Like he's getting her. Yeah.
I can tell you right now. I know my wife. I saw her give the assessment. I believe her when she says she's not crazy about the way he looks, but I know for a fact if he tried, he'd bang her.
Right. Like so they're at a bar. She's swirling a drink. He's at the end of the bar. He noticed her. He walks up. She's like, "Oh, here we go." But like 30 minutes into that conversation, he's got it done. Right.
We know he's a closer.
He is a closer for sure. So she's
he's
like,
an all-time closer.
He's like, I'll talk to this guy, but and then 30 minutes later, it's done. You know what I mean? The deed is done.
Without question, he's an all-time closer, and he's good enough to where if someone closed on her, she's gonna go for it. So the bottom line is, and she wouldn't know who he was, by the way. Like she doesn't know who she knows The Rock and Hulk Hogan.
Right,
like that's it. So if that ever did happen, like his fame wouldn't help that because she would have no clue who he was. And
he wouldn't need that anyway. He wouldn't even use it or need it anyway. I don't think that's his game either.
You know, that's true. He's married, obviously.
Yeah.
I have no reason to think he's like, philandering around. But if he were single, you might be right about that. He might not be a guy who'd be like, "Hey, I'm on TV."
Yeah, I don't think he would. Yeah, I don't get that vibe from him.
I don't pick up that vibe either. But all right.
There you go. The debut of the segment. Will you bang this guy?
She would do him, but he's no JL. I mean, you heard it straight from her mouth. So, there you go. I thought about doing a behind the paywall podcast with TLB, and one of the big segments was going to be, would you? And this is what we would do.
Yeah,
play this game.
I think it could work. I think it's good.
It'd be fun because she doesn't know who they are.
And she's got good assessments about like, okay, well, he looks like a smoker. If I was at the bar and like had a few drinks in me, like I like that. That was a good assessment there.
Yeah, and I could.
She knows how to do it. Not a yes or a no. You know what I mean? She gave some detail, gave some explanation. She's a natural. So
yeah, I could toss a lady or two in there because she digs that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That could be a good segment. We'll see what the people say though.
Yeah, would you? Yeah, would be. So, all right, let's get to this RevPro show, and then we'll close this night out. Real quickly too, I did want to touch on this. Tomorrow night, AAW in Chicago, 115 Bourbon Street. If you're in the Chicagoland area, you can watch it there. Also on Fight, pretty fun card. Matt Fitchett versus Laredo Kid. as your main event. That's for the AEW heavyweight title. That should be a hell of a match. Ace Austin, Davey Vega, a meet and greet with Ron Simmons. If you're going to be there, you can get to. Mike Bennett and Josh Alexander. That's a pretty interesting match. Interested to see that. Silas Young, Manders, a bull rope. And you got, it's,
Silas Young and Manders in a bull rope?
Yes, yeah, of course.
That piqued up my attention.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's it's an interesting booking here. Fred Yeha versus Shaft, unsanctioned. There must be a winner.
Yeah.
Yeha has done awesome work in AEW so far. Yeah, I mean, I think that Fitch Laredo Kid should be really awesome. Laredo Kid's been awesome in AEW. You like this one. Jake something and Russ Jones. You've watched a little Russ Jones.
Oh, Russ Jones. I mean,
those are dudes. Those are bearded dudes that are going to fuck the hell out of each other. That's going to be awesome. So
Whoa, easy. Yo, listen, I don't know what you're saying about Russ Jones and Jake something. I mean, that's possible. I don't know how those men roll, but geez, you're implying that we're going to get a live sex show here. So.
You know what? Things happen at 115 Bourbon Street. You never know what's going to happen. So
I'm very
tune in on Fight. Tune in on Fight.
Yeah.
Fuck each other up is what I meant to say. I missed a very important word in that.
Fuck each other. Okay.
Right. I missed up, which is a big qualifier in that sentence. So, but yeah, that's going on. So I just want to quickly talk about that. That's on Fight. So I'll definitely be checking that out. TBD on going to the show. It's a little rough to get there on a Friday night, but I'll probably be watching on Fight if I can't make it.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's get to this RevPro show. High Stakes 2022. I thought this was a hell of a show. We have to start with the main event. RevPro Undisputed British Heavyweight Title match. Will Ospreay versus Michael Oku. I'm going to get on my phone right now to see what it is on Grapple, because the last I checked, this match was, let me see what the most recent is on this one. It is, as of this recording, 4.82 on Grapple.
Yeah, this
was good. Right? I helped. I guess I reduced the average a little bit by being a coward and going 4.75. But yeah, this is special.
9.32 on the cage match.
Yeah, go watch this match. If you haven't watched this, go watch this match. This is one of the greatest matches you're going to see this year for sure.
Oh yeah. And it's not just okay. So I don't think it's like some kind of work rate classic necessarily. But, we just talked about MJF versus Punk being classic pro wrestling. And so was this in a lot of ways. I mean, Will Ospreay has just blossomed into arguably the best heel in the business. I mean, he's just so hateable. And that was on full display here. From the entrance on. I mean, everything that you saw in the Tokyo Dome when we had the same discussion about him was here at RevPro. So he comes out, he's got the video before, this long drawn out video that shows all of his title defenses against like Carl Fredericks and stuff. You're like, dude, those are, come on, man. Like, I beat this guy and I beat this guy. And it's like the guys he's listing are just nobodies. You know what I mean? They're like guys that are just, and he should be beating these guys. That's the heat though. Again, you dummies, that's the heat. Yeah. And now he's got this new song. It's a slowed down orchestra version of his theme music. Yeah.
And it's long and it takes forever and it's not that loud. And then he comes out in his garish, his weird hair and his garish gear. And people get mad about this and go, what is this? He's a fucking heel. He's a troll shithead. Like,
yeah, it's
people just can't get worked anymore, man. It's
well, they do. I mean, because
I guess they are getting worked because they're getting really upset about Will Ospreay again.
Well, I mean, the crowd was on fire for this.
Yeah.
I mean, and then just the stuff down the stretch. I mean, so Oku's family is in the front row. His girlfriend, what looked to be his parents.
They were his parents, yeah. Because he went up to them at one point and hugged them or whatever. So those were his parents, yeah.
Yeah, and so they ended up being a part of the match. And at one point, when Will pulled her over the guardrail, and she is a wrestler, by the way. She's I think she works in Ireland. I think someone said in our Discord. I'll have to double check it.
Yeah, they said her name, but I'll be honest, I forgot what it was. So
she's I've never seen her wrestle, but the point is he pulls her over the guardrail, and the crowd just comes unglued for this fucking spot.
I thought the parents were going to come out. I thought there were other people. It looked like people wanted to get over that guardrail and fight Ospreay. That was like one of those.
And
Yeah, it was.
Oku gives him like a missile drop kick, and the bump that Ospreay takes into the opposite guardrail off of that drop kick, and then the crowd fucking explodes.
Yeah,
and
he does like a pump the crowd up thing, and the place is shaking at this point.
Oh
shaking.
my god! They just the gasp from that crowd when he yanks her over the guardrail to throttle her, and then the match continues, and then
Amir Blair is her name. Amir Blair. She is. Yeah, I think she. I don't know where. I'm trying to look. Yeah, not a ton of places, but yeah, Amir Blair is her name. She is.
She worked OTT.
I'm trying to find out right now. Yeah, her Instagram is not giving me that info exactly. Find out.
Yeah,
wrestling.
Sarah 4L in the Discord says she works in. She's from Northern Ireland and gets booked in OTT. It says.
Okay, all right, there you go.
So anyway, then the match continues on, and eventually Ospreay takes control, and he can put him away, and he hits the hidden blade, but he picks him up at 2. So my guy's gonna give him another one. So he gives him another one for good measure, and he picks him up at 2. And then how many did he give him? 9?
I think it was it was something like that. And for people that don't know, the stipulation was that this match cannot be stopped by the referee, because they
right.
Before the match started, they both agreed that, hey, no matter what happens in that ring, the referee cannot stop the match. And
yeah. So
yeah,
Ospreay taking full advantage of just the opportunity to literally try to kill Michael Oku. And the thing about Oku, and we say this all the time, he's not a great wrestler. What his biggest strength is he's an incredible babyface, and he has uncanny crowd connection, and he's very sympathetic, and these fans love him. And you have this hated guy, and he's just giving them all these hidden blades, and the ref is powerless. The ref can do nothing. And Connors, what's his name?
Connor Mills.
Connor Mills. He's got the towel, and he's threatening to throw a towel in, but I don't even think that would help. Like the ref cannot stop this. So, and Oku's telling him, don't throw the towel. He's got
they do a spot. Yeah,
eyes.
it's a little bit of like melodrama NXT, but it works after a 45-minute grueling match or whatever. But like Mills is putting his hand in the ring, like, just tell me, man. And Oku grabs it and just goes, don't do it, don't throw the towel in. And then at one point, somebody does throw the towel in.
Yeah, the girlfriend throws the towel in.
Well, I think Mills threw the towel in, but then Ospreay grabbed it and tossed it in her face.
Yeah, Ospreay caught it or whatever and threw it back and hit her in the face with it. And the crowd just they want this man dead. He does have his pockets of fans, though, I noticed. Because when he finally pinned him, there was like this whole pocket of dudes who jumped up and were screaming. But for the most part, there's like 1,000 people, like somewhere between 800 and 1,100 people in there. I think that's what that building holds. And they just, 90% of them wanted this man dead. And after like the 9 hidden blades and like to the front of the face and to the back, just
every version, every style of hidden blade you could possibly.
Like, I am going to kill this man. And then he finally puts him away. And, then the girlfriend hops in the ring. I will say one thing. His parents kind of like, they had shit-eating grins on their faces, which was like the opposite of how you probably want them reacting to their son like being killed, like literally killed. But they're not in the business, and you kind of have to give them a pass. You know what I mean? But the girlfriend was tremendous.
Yeah, she was good,
and it really enhanced the match. And look, Will Ospreay was great. He's always great. Oku is great at the things that he's great at. He's never going to be a refined worker. I don't think that's ever going to be the case. He's a little older than people think. He's not like 22 years old. He's like 30. And, he's never going to have a great body. He's a smaller guy, but what he has is that crowd connection. And he's very sympathetic. And, he held his own in the match. And the one spot off the top turnbuckle through the table on the floor, which was fucking sick.
For people that didn't see this match, which by the way, again, I'll recommend go see this. RevPro on demand. You can find it there. Oku is like at the top rope about to do a move, and Will comes out of nowhere and shoves him in the ass, and Oku just goes flying like halfway across the fucking building through the ring announcer's table with the belts on it and stuff.
Yeah.
It looks crazy. I mean, it's one of these things that like the announcers and the crowd sold it like it was a shoot. It wasn't like a normal table spot where a table's set up and a guy goes through a table and people go, it was just like, fuck you, Will. Like, how dare you? Like, it almost like they thought that, like, the fans bought into it, that this was not a planned spot, that this guy just shoved this guy halfway across the ring through a table that he wasn't supposed to go through, because it wasn't a set up table. It wasn't cleared off. There were people still at the table. Like, it was a hell of a bump.
Right.
And it totally changed the entire match from that point forward, because Oku's then bleeding. It turns it from just a back and forth wrestling match to a literal fight. Because at that point now, he's pissed off about all this stuff, Oku.
And everybody, by the end of this, everyone's a bloody mess.
Right.
This was like an old school world title match, American territory world title. It had that feel. And, it was, it had all that emotion that comes with that, and the nastiness and the blood. And this was a very different kind of match. Like, I thought they would go in there and just have a great Will Ospreay RevPro world title match. They did something completely different here. And I have to tell you, when it was all over, Rich, we all thought RKJ would be the guy to beat Ospreay. It has to be Oku now.
It's got to be, yeah. It really does.
Cannot.
Yeah, he's got to come back and win this match. He's got to do this. Yeah.
It has to be. Like, it can't not be Oku, and it has to happen in the big building, in that building that they run. The fuck is the name of that building? The York Hall. It's got to be York Hall.
Yeah.
That's where, and it would anyway, because that's, unless they run something bigger at some point. But and the other thing about it is, and I hope they do this. I don't know when their next. Let me see if I could find when their next shows are, because Oku should be written off for a while. After the way that match was laid out at the end, he should not work at least the next couple of shows. I know that's tricky with indies, and I know you can't always do that kind of stuff. And if their next shows aren't until a month from now, then okay, then maybe it's not. But if they've got shows like next weekend or the weekend after, and I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, he's got to take a couple weeks off for sure.
He shouldn't work them. I mean, he should not work those shows. And he should sell this, because this was as vicious and nasty of an ending of a finish as you'll ever see. I mean, the idea was he was trying to kill this guy. And it was just it was a great match. It was a spectacle. It was emotional. Everybody was great in it. And it's I highly recommend. I almost went 5 myself. I couldn't go all the way.
I went 4 3/4 like an absolute coward. But like you mentioned a little bit earlier that Oku is great in this match. Like, Oku is really good. But for all that, like, Will is just in another fucking stratosphere, dude. Like, he's so
good. And it's like, and he could do anything. He's now doing this new heel thing, which who knew he had this in him? And he could be so great as a heel world champion. Like, we knew he was.
One flip this entire match, maybe two Spanish flies. So if you see anybody that say, Will flips, just ignore that person, because they're not watching.
Now he's doing it anymore.
They're not watching. They're doing a bad faith argument. So just ignore those people, because he's not a flip guy anymore. He started this match off by, they were wrestling. They were doing some kind of grappling on the ground, and Oku was laying on the mat, and I think Will was trying for an armbar or something like that. He just kneels on his neck. You know, it was awesome. It was like, because like, it's Will, and you're thinking people are still caught in this, like, it's like 2016 Best of the Super Juniors with Ricochet. No, man, it's a completely different Will Ospreay. I mean, just early on in this match, he just sits on this guy's neck, just puts his knee right on his neck, just to kind of say, this isn't. I'm looking to kill you, man. Like, this is not a wrestling match. You are gonna leave this ring dead. Like, that's all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean, we've now seen him do it all. I mean, he was the best junior in the world. Then he moved up to heavyweight, and we've seen him be a great babyface. We've seen him do Plunder. I mean, in Progress, the Plunder match with Jimmy Havoc a couple of years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago, that was great. We've seen him great in tags. Now we see him as like a heel world champion. He can do everything.
He's 28 years old, by the way.
And he's got 10 years.
What did you do when you were 28? What were you doing by 28? Like.
I mean, but seriously, he's got 10 years of prime in front of him.
Yeah.
And eventually, his body will start to break down, and maybe he'll cash in and go to WWE or whatever, who knows, but he's got 10 years of prime in front of him. And he's arguably been the best wrestler in the world over the last 2 or 3 years. And and this RevPro run has been fantastic. But Oku has to be the guy to beat him now with the way that they laid this out. And, so maybe, and RKJ definitely feels like a top guy here now with the way that they elevated him, and he won again on this show.
Yeah.
But maybe we were wrong. And I think it would be a mistake if Oku wasn't the one to beat him now.
Yeah, I mean it's a good problem to have that you got a few guys now that feel like
the
guy.
Guys, yeah, for sure.
Like the guy that needs to knock him off. So that's definitely cool. But yeah, go out of your way to check this match out. This whole show is pretty damn awesome. It still has some of RevPro's unfortunate production snafus, including the audio being out of sync, which is not great for some of this. I think so. I watched half of this a couple days ago, and then the other half today. And today the audio seemed a little bit better than it did. I don't know if that's just my body and my mind adjusting to it, or if they actually did fix the video, but that was an issue at the beginning. But I mean, yeah, there's a little production issues that go into this, but I think, this show, there's some other stuff on this too.
This was a great show.
It was great. Top to bottom, really, really good stuff. Gabriel Kidd and Francisco Akira, awesome. 15 minutes, bell rings. These guys just beat the fuck out of each other from the moment the match starts to the moment it ends. I thought the Undisputed Tag title match, the Sunshine Machine Aussie Open, was really, really good. This is the best that Sunshine Machine looks like. This is classic TK Cooper. This is the one that we've been talking about for months. Like, we wanted that TK Cooper to come back. He was great in this match.
I'm going to be careful in my praise because they were in there with Aussie Open, who might
Right. I'd like to see them against a team that's not one of the best tag teams in the world, which, by the way, Aussie Open, if you have not seen them, you maybe seen them once or twice or whatever, stop sleeping on it. I mean, this is, keep your FTR. This is the best tag team in the world, man. You know what I mean?
They might be the best. They might be the best tag team in the world. They deliver every time.
Yeah, the Bucks, Penta, Phoenix, obviously they're all in the running, but Aussie Open is they're right in that mix there, right in that mix.
They're definitely in a mix. And what can we talk about Kyle Fletcher for a minute?
We can definitely talk about Kyle Fletcher. I'd love to talk about Kyle Fletcher.
First, he's a toothpick, and we're all like, he's got to gain weight. Then during the pandemic, he's like a hoss.
Yeah, he got real big. What happened? God. I thought he got hurt here because all of a sudden I'm like.
So listen. So he during the pandemic, he becomes like a legitimate hoss because he's tall, and he puts on that weight, and he's thick in the middle, and he's still moving real good. And it's like, whoa, this is a change, and this is great for him. Now he's like cut, and he's he's got like a Rick Rude type thin cut physique, like not as defined as Rude was or thick. But that like thin, cut up, 6-pack. This guy goes through more body changes. In the last 18 months, he's had every kind of body type. It's crazy. He's in the best shape he's ever been in. I mean, he looks phenomenal. This is the hardest physique to maintain, but this is the one he should try to keep. Because he looked great physically on this show.
Yeah, for a second I was like, man, where's Kyle Fletcher even been? I'm like, wait, that's Kyle Fletcher. Hold on a minute. Like I'm looking for my big beef boy, and he's not there. And I'm like, where the fuck? What happened to Kyle Fletcher? I'm like, wait, that's him. Like, yeah, this man has gained and lost 100 pounds, and then it is pretty wild. Yeah, he was a toothpick 3 years ago. Then he was about 280, after the pandemic.
Yeah, I don't know if he was that
No, he wasn't 280. He wasn't 280, but he was a big, thick boy. And now he's just like cut to fucking shreds. So it's pretty wild. Yeah, not Rick Rude style like you said, but definitely cut.
Yeah, he's got like an 8-pack.
Yeah,
like he's looking very. I don't know. Just a lot of body transformations. But yeah, that was a great match. Probably a little too long and a little too spotty, but it's an indie show and they're out there, everyone's trying to steal the show. So I get it. But yeah, really good match. And Gabe Kidd, Francesco Akira, the good Italian boy. I mean, you talked about it a little bit. Rich, Gabe Kidd is a fucking monster.
Oh,
this guy's going to be a star.
Those New Japan Lions, they're all over the place right now. A bunch of them are, here. A bunch of them are in America. A few are here. Like, dude, there is a crop of guys that are absolute dudes right now. And Shota Umino, we're going to talk about him a little bit earlier. I think he's probably lower on that list these days. Yota Tsuji, I do like. I think there's still a little bit of work that he needs. Yuya Uemura, I think, is still solid. I'm still circling him. But then these other guys, dude, the Clark Connors, the Gabe Kidds, that group right there.
Coughlin.
Alex Coughlin, who's great now too. Like, we a couple years ago said, lock it down, Carl Fredericks, superstar, future star. He's like the least of the guys that I'm excited about these days.
Yeah. He still has the best look, but
dude, I don't know if he has the best look anymore.
Yeah, he's tall. He's like 6'3", and
dude, Clark Connor's got a good look.
Yeah, no, listen, these other guys are fucking monsters, though. They're
These
machines.
are dudes, yeah.
You like, if you haven't seen, I talked about the Gabe Kidd match against Kingston. Did you ever see that or no?
Yes, I did. Yeah, what has to happen is these guys need to come together again, and you just need to see them all at the same time to realize, like, holy crap, these guys.
On this show, there were two of them.
Yeah.
You know? And Kidd is just a fucking beast. The only problem I had with Kidd and the Good Italian Boy is I thought I could not buy Akira going toe-to-toe in a physical striking match with Kidd. I don't know if that was a problem for you. It was a little bit of a problem for me. I'm not saying the match wasn't great, because it was. But that's not what Francisco Akira is. And it was hard for me to take him seriously in these strike battles with Gabe Kidd, who is like coming across like the most dangerous wrestler in the world these days. Like, he's just a monster. It's hard to explain unless you watch the matches.
Yeah, he's insane.
He's going to be great. I mean, really, he has a chance to be to go to New Japan and just be a fucking superstar. So, but it's good to see Francisco Akira here. Very quickly, they have a show, we're told, in the room in 3 days. RKJ versus Gabe Kidd is on that show, which I have to see that match.
Sounds awesome.
And Oku is on the card. He's wrestling Callum Newman. So they're not selling the finish, which is just very disappointing.
You better be in taped up and lose that match in like 2 minutes. If I was booking,
lose the match.
If I was booking, he comes in with his arm taped up, gets in the ring, and gets beaten in like 2 minutes just to sell that injury. But
I agree. He's probably going to win the match. But if
he's definitely going to win the match. It'll be a 20-minute match, and he's going to win it. So
if he loses the match, though, and the story is it's because he's beaten up physically, I'll give them a pass for booking him, because that's a good story too.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. The other thing, though, about Oku is his whole thing is getting destroyed and constantly kicking out. That's like part of his gimmick.
Yes.
So all of his matches are like that, and sometimes much to their detriment. Like, it's not so much a fighting spirit thing. It's not so much like 2013 Davey Richards. It's more like his essence is that he's never the tougher guy in the match, but he has more heart.
He survives. Yeah, he'll always survive a match. He's got more heart than you do, but yeah.
That's kind of the thing, and that was kind of the case, which is why that kind of finish is perfect to do with all the elbows. So very quickly, Ricky Knight Jr. got a win over Luke Jacobs. Luke Jacobs is a guy who he has no charisma whatsoever, but it's very clear he has the tools to be a very good wrestler. The problem is Luke Jacobs has the charisma of a fucking, I don't
saltine
know.
cracker.
Yeah, he's a charisma void.
Actually, an unsalted saltine cracker, unfortunately. So
yeah, now I mean, look, he's a kid. He's probably in his early 20s. I first saw him on those empty building progress shows, and then Rev started using them because him and Ethan Allen are the tag team, and both of them have a ton of potential. They just have to find their charisma, and a lot of times I think we're a little too hard on these young wrestlers. Not everybody's going to be a prodigy. You know what I mean? Like it takes some time sometimes, and there's people on this card you can point to. Look at Gabe Kidd. Look at Dan Maloney. We thought Dan Maloney was a jag a couple of years ago. He found his charisma, So a guy like Luke Jacobs is a perfect guy to let marinate on the undercard and see if he can develop some charisma down the line. But this was a good win for Ricky Knight Jr. He's out of like the top mix right now. But I thought that was a really good match. And Dan Maloney, Callum Newman, the prelim matches weren't great, but they were all good. They were all solid. And Maloney beats Newman. And Shota Umino, Yota Tsuji. I didn't think this was like a 3-star match. I didn't think.
Yeah, that was exactly at 3. No, I was exactly at 3. It was solid effort, but yeah, none of these guys like. I'm just looking for that oomph. There's no pizzazz. I don't know. There's nothing there. I mean, Umino, I'm like, this guy was like a big charisma guy, and he's just out there just wrestling. And Yota Tsuji, I know he's kind of wrestling to his gimmick right now, and he's wrestling to Lord Gideon Gray, and he's kind of doing that sort of thing. So I get it. I need to see a lot more out of Umino, man. You're the babyface here. You know what I mean? You're the big conquering baby, and there's not that. You know, I'm just not seeing that out of him. So I'm a little disappointed in his progress.
I think the pandemic really derailed him big time. He came back out of shape. He's back in shape.
Yeah, he's in shape now. It's just like he doesn't have. I don't know. There's just
a little something.
There's just some sort of There's I don't know. You just don't feel it. He comes out there and they were just wrestling a match. They were just having a 16-minute wrestling match. I don't know. I need a little bit more out of these guys.
His stock's down. Him and Carl Fredericks, their stock is down, and these other guys, their stock is up. I mean, and that's going to fluctuate and go back and forth. And then Alex Coughlin was a big surprise. He wasn't even booked. So they opened the show with Lord Gideon Gray cutting a promo, and Coughlin interrupts him and just kills him in a minute. And he announced later on that he's no longer a young lion.
Yep.
So, and he looked great, like he always does. And he looked like a beast. So it looks like he's going to be working here moving forward. Man, Rev is always well booked and all that. And it's kind of become a meme with our listeners where they're like, oh, Joe's going to tell us how well booked RevPro is again, but it's like now.
Sorry. I mean, they are.
But look at this roster they're building too. I mean,
yeah, it's a loaded roster, man. Because they can keep getting these New Japan Young Lions guys and getting them better. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches then, because you got Coughlin. Yeah, I'm down on Aminu, but that's a good roster guy. Yota Tsuji, a good roster guy. Dan Maloney, like we said, he's become a dude. Callum Newman, we said, is Ospreay's protege, so he's awesome. Ricky Knight Jr., in a year that they've turned that guy into a guy. Gabriel Kidd rules. Akira, I think he's hurt now, but he pops in every so often too. He's great. And then, Sunshine Machine, if you can figure out with them. Aussie Open's Aussie Open. Oku's Oku, and Will Ospreay's. I mean, that's a fucking great roster.
Yeah, and like JJ Gale didn't even wrestle.
Yeah, yeah. There's a bunch of dudes that we didn't even mention. So yeah, their women's division has been decimated. So that's unfortunate. But they got a lot of guys on this roster that are really, really good. So yeah, you got to keep your eye on RevPro, man.
And they keep building them. Like you have Callum Newman and Luke Jacobs and JJ Gale kind of like marinating and learning and working underneath, and they'll be the next wave eventually. And
Connor Mills, who obviously he was just seconding Oku on this match, but yeah, you got Connor Mills.
Yeah, Connor Mills. And Oku's tag team partner, and he's kind of like I always call him like oh man, who's the guy I don't like in Game Changer?
You got to be more specific.
No, the kid that tries really hard, but he just isn't. He's just not very good.
Again, you're gonna have to be a little bit more specific.
The one that was in MLW teaming with Myron Reed.
Oh, Jordan Oliver.
He's like the British Jordan Oliver to me. Connor Mills, like their body type, their look, the way they work. They kind of both have two left feet at times, but the effort's there. That's what I'm trying to get to here. Before we ended up doing an unintentional comedy bit on the Game Changer roster. But, and then there was Alex Windsor against Charlie Evans, which, it was a match.
Yeah. There you go.
You got anything to add?
I have nothing to add. Yeah, that women's roster, unfortunately, it
just gets decimated.
It was a highlight during the pandemic, and then it got one by one, people got signed. Then they had an announced match, and then both those people got signed, and then they just were like, all right, who's not leaving? It's essentially at that point. It's like, who's here right now and who's not leaving, essentially. It's gotten to the point where obviously they're not going to be able to do this because people can't handle it, but they should probably just not have.
During the Empty Arena pandemic, they had Giselle Shaw, B. Priestley,
Jamie Hayter,
and then they brought in Sky Smithson. They brought in to be part of Legion, and then every time, they just all got picked off one by one,
right?
And then Windsor's the champ, and she's all right. And Charlie Evans, I don't know. People tell me she's better at death matches. I'll take their word for it.
Yeah. Hopefully, because she's not that good at wrestling matches. So.
I thought this was just like a basic 2.5.
Yeah, it's fine. Match. It wasn't horribly bad.
It wasn't offensive or bad.
No. It's just, it was such a really good show. And then there was just this match here that was just like, you know what I mean? It was fine. It wasn't offensive at any rate. It's just it's uninspiring is probably the best way to put it. So,
Rich, do we need the 10-minute Keitel promo afterwards? Do we?
Oh
need that?
My God! What the hell was this?
I don't think we need that.
What was this? She's just going on and on and on, and you can't hear it on the video. I have no idea. I'm like, what's the point? We heard you. Let's get to the point. And the point was the big Hyon return. So, yeah.
I mean, they keep trying to replenish.
Yeah,
I
I'll give
mean,
them credit. I'll give them credit.
You know, it'd be real easy to just hand wave it, but you can't. You're not going to get away with not having a women's division.
No, I for sure. But why did this promo have to go for as long as it went on for?
I know, it was way too long.
What was the point? Let's get it. Let's go.
You get to the point. But you try being a UK indie post speaking out without a women's division. That's just not going to
No.
fly.
Oh, yeah. No.
So they keep losing everybody, but they keep replacing. And, because during the heart of the pandemic, it was like, it wasn't like the token title match. There were like down card stuff going on too. Like,
yeah, right.
Now it's just like,
they actually had it. They were booking to it and booking for it and all that sort of stuff. And now it does feel kind of just like we have to have a women's match on.
Here's a title match because we got to put a title, and it's just the title match and all that. But it was fine. I mean, it was, to me, it was totally inoffensive, but nothing I'm going to recommend. So the rest of the show, and it built, like, as the show moved on, everything got better and better.
Yeah. I could pretty much recommend the entire show. I think.
Go watch.
I think I would honestly say just watch the whole show. If you have the chance, you have the opportunity, you have the time, just watch the whole show. So
the show on the 6th, and remember, everything's on their service. You can watch it all. You got RKJ versus Gabe Kidd. You've got Aussie Open versus Umino and Suji. And you've got, there was a third match here. Oh, and Oku versus Callum Newman. That's all from the chat from The Swink. This guy has a gimmick name, this Swink here. But those are 3 matches that are on the 6th as the follow-up to this show. So we keep an eye on RevPro moving forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, great stuff. So that is that. So this is the episode of the Flagship. Of course, Flagship, patreon.com/voices of wrestling, voicesofwrestling.com/patreon. $5 and $10 tiers for all that great stuff. I forgot to mention it during the Dynamite segment that we're going to do, but a couple of months ago, Suit Williams wrote a great article for Voices of Wrestling talking about Dynamite and how great the wrestling matches have been on Dynamite, including some underrated ones. I gave you like the top of the top, like match of the year level matches, but there's been a lot of stuff on there as well. So it's called the Dynamite Dozen. On voicesofwrestling.com by Suit Williams. Definitely recommend checking that out to just, again, reiterate my point that, like, we're getting really, really good wrestling on Dynamite, and I don't know if a lot of people are fully appreciating that all the way. But, that is all up at voicesofwrestling.com, patreon.com/voicesofwrestling, as I mentioned, and, that's it for us. So for Joe Lanza, I'm Rich Craich. We'll talk to you next time on the Flagship Podcast. Take care.